whether Smash can find a similar avenue to success in this game, or whether playing behind that curtain call is actually going to be able to get Gen.G over the line, because the guy that's all about the DPS in this one for Gen.G is going to be Chovy. And if all of your eggs are going to be in any basket, it's probably his that's going to be the most safe as we get onto the Rift here for game number 1 of this best-of-3 semi-final between Gen.G, the title defenders, and Dplus Kia, the unlikely attendees of the semifinals.
Such a crazy run through the qualifiers from, Shiu's Alawi to insane outplays by Smash to get here and upset some of our major players in the LCK along the way.
They beat Esports, didn't they, in the qualifiers in order to even get here? It's nuts what they were able to get done.
They were able to overperform, and KT was on the decline at the time, but KT Rolster could have been here otherwise based on how they finished LCK-wise in the first half of the year, lead up to Road to MSI. A bit of a trade here in the mid lane. Showmaker, a player who has loved Talia since she has been back in the mid lane. It was a jungle pick briefly a few years ago. So he's got a lot of experience on this one. Keen playing Shen is the reason why I thought maybe this is going to be a support pick. For those who don't know, or just watch international tournaments, or maybe just came here because you heard the news about KC. Our region plays Shen support. We don't really do the top lane thing that much.
No, Keen though did learn that Shen was a top laner at first stand. He definitely did figure that one out. We have seen spatterings of it since, but like you say, it's not really a mainstay in the top lane.
Wasn't it them who played the Cog Lulu Shen in playoffs? I know one of our teams did and kind of copied the G2 draft.
Someone did. I can't remember exactly.
That did happen. I know that it was... The Cog Lulu was definitely played by T1. It was FaZe that debuted it in the LCK this year, but I'm not entirely sure whether it was with the Shen as well. As in the meantime, we're having a look at Shiu, having a rough time into Keen towards his top side of the map, does manage to even out the trade as he backs away. But there is a lot of back and forth here in these lanes so far.
I think bot lane, there is more of an emphasis now than ever before for this Ezreal Karma to come out ahead. You're playing into Vard, who does a pretty decent job of trading and mitigating some of the pressure to sustain. But when we get to the later points of the early game, he will be able to roam about and make such an impact. We've seen him do that and match up well into these more proactive supports because he's just so proactive himself. Whereas I feel like Karma, you need to put the hurt down in the 2v2 and hopefully keep Ruler in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, again, there's not a lot of engage in this bottom 2v2, but it's about what happens with the rest of the top side of the map when we get to those 5v5s, the picks there. Playing through Ambessa, though, is not, I think, going to be the way they want to do this. I think they will still keep the focus bottom and mid, especially against this immobile Cassiopeia. Getting a flash early is so incredibly valuable when you are playing into Cassiopeia and you have Vi. That is so easy to set up a kill. Point and click, post 6 for Lucid. So pre-6, if they can get a flash for any reason here for Chovy, it will be a huge win.
We'll be definitely glued to see where the first bit of action is going to come from. As speaking of action, Shiu looking for an angle towards Keen on this top side. Does not quite find it there as Duro just walking around, picking up chimes, having a good time on the bar. Teleport does come back, and yeah, gonna try and stop Keen from being able to go back home.
He has the health pod advantage right now. The wave's in a bad spot for Keen.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. Keen's in a little bit of trouble. He's gonna have to fight his way through this cannon wave. Should be able to do it, but not the back he wanted.
And it's gonna remain pretty annoying. As you can see, Lucid in the area as well, so even if Canyon comes over, likely to just be that 2 versus 2. The DK having that advantage already, given the fact that Keen is trying to deal with this wave state, sorting that one out. Might be able to naturally push back in a couple of moments, but it's not exactly the greatest of positions for this Shen to be in.
Yeah, looks like Canyon will move to bail him out, and if we ended up getting a 2v2 on the top side, it's so delicate because there's such high value skills like the Taunt, like the Q from the Vi, where if they connect, can completely turn it in that team's favor.
Absolutely. It was scary. I'm not sure if that top ward is double warded with a ward for each, since the minimap kind of just puts the second one on top. But if Keen didn't have a ward there, it's even scarier, right? Knowing that Lucid was on the top side of the map and that wave was in a horrible spot, but ultimately he will be able to get that back off. But you can see now full control here to Shiu and a significant CS advantage as a result of that freeze.
Yeah. Working out very, very nicely. First plate to go down to DK here on this bottom side of the map as well. If you're a Gen.G fan, I mean, this isn't the end of the world, right? You're expecting the Ezreal Karma to have push in this lane. But they're going to have to try and weather this storm, see whether they can come out ahead. I think the Ezreal is just going to feel a whole lot more valuable for quite a long time here in this game, though, moving towards those first couple of items where Smash will really be able to leverage that mobility.
Oh, really, Max? You think AD carries can be more valuable?
Yeah, I think that...
I'm shocked.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Hey, look, at least I said Ezreal, and I didn't say if it was any champion, they'd be in the best spot. You know, I'm trying to keep it analytical. It's okay. Canyon in the back of this pit, possibly having a rough time, but there is the magical journey over. Canyon's still going to be taken down, and first blood goes over to Smash. Ruler not going to be taking that magical journey, as they do have to give up the dragon. And Wolf, I want to give away something that you told me earlier today. You said, in my waters, for some reason, I feel like Dplus are going to win this game.
I mean, I've been feeling it for a few days now, but especially after watching Casey get the upset yesterday, it feels like anything is possible. Now, this replay here, we're going to take a look at. Canyon's isolated, and they have full priority. Duro and Ruler are going to try to magical journey in, but the timing here of this charged Q is perfect. He waits for the untargetable to go away. They get Duro's flash, they get a kill. They get the dragon, they get a flash. And I think contesting there from Gen.G, I think going for a steal for Canyon, that's realistic. That's something you could have hoped for there, but looking for the 3v3 was just a bridge too far.
I feel like the value of the Deferi W is so high into so many abilities, but into the Karma Tether, once it's there, you can't do anything about it unless you break the distance. So lined up perfectly for Lucid to capitalize, and a strong early start for Dplus here.
Yeah, that Jinrangi eating the key, by the way, next to the Eiffel Tower, that was absolutely awesome.
Love to see that.
Yeah, bit of artwork here in the crowd. As Keen, and she is still isolated here towards the top side of the map, as Keen does manage to get into his dodge field, but doesn't exactly get the most massive amount of value from it. She still with a slight lead up there in the top lane, but with just core fields, it's not really going to be changing too much just yet. Does want to get towards that Eclipse before that power spike really lands.
Yeah, it doesn't feel super fun playing the Shen when you get your level 6 and it's not something that helps you with the lane. The Ambessa gets all that.
Are we talking about Ambessa level 6 again?
All the stats that Ambessa gets just from leveling the ult up. So, yeah, definitely we saw Keen have
got that helm
in the 1v1, and now it gets a bit trickier, I feel like, in that matchup, especially, as you said, when she hits that one item. And really Keen is looking and thinking, how can I impact the map when my lane is a lot harder to win at this point?
Well, pressing R is probably going to be the start here. Does have that Stand United up and available. We'll see where it's going to be used first, as Showmaker and Chovy just been trading back and forth here in this mid lane. Slight advantage for Chovy, but nothing really to write home about.
Lucid hasn't made any appearances in the bottom lane, obviously getting that dragon early, but hasn't really ganked directly, nor has he tried to get the flash out of Chovy. So it's been a pretty quiet game for him outside of that really nice play into Canyon moments before. But the lanes have just been left to their own devices here, as we do see him now coming down to try to wrap around here and push them off of this turret.
Yeah, Korea going to be able to get in here, takes down that captive audience as well. As Lucid trying to stay out of vision. Duro spots him moving in, but now Ruler is possibly in trouble as Showmaker's going to turn up as well. 4 versus 1. Stand United comes in. Seismic Shot pushes him back. The Shen arrives, but they've taken down the Jin already. Lucid going to try and escape here, and he does create some distance as the True Shot Barrage comes over. But I don't think Lucid's getting out of this one, and that is going to be Keen grabbing the first kill back here for Gen.G.
Managed to get the 1-for-1 trade, but even so, it's Ruler missing out on a ton of gold. It's Smash getting a kill, and it's Shiwa getting a lone time top to get plates and some extra farm. So Dplus getting a pretty sizable lead.
Look at how far Showmaker already is here. This is a classic Taliyah Vi move. You roam over so easily as the mid laner. When the gank comes through, they had stacked the wave. And Duro just left, unfortunately, Ruler by the lay side. And look at what's happening in the top lane at the same time. The Ambessa's getting free farm here, so sure, you have Stand United, but it's just way too slow here to really get the impact he was hoping for.
It's also, if you're using Stand United to trade 1-for-1 in kills, like that's a big investment in terms of tools, and they still got loads of extra gold on the map, so now Gen.G they don't have that tool available to make a counterplay, and it puts DK in a really solid spot for this early game. 700 gold lead already for Smash, and really with Jin, you're looking at 3-4 items, whereas Ezreal, 2 items is that massive power point, and he's very much accelerated towards that.
Yeah, also feels pretty good when you get to 3 and 4 on the Ezreal at the same time. So I think that definitely a good game state here for Dplus, as Keen finally makes his way back towards his top side. The Shen can be very frustrating as this game goes on, building towards that Titanic Hydra for item number 1, but Shiu going to be getting closer and closer to the Eclipse, where I don't know whether Keen will be able to do too much about it. Does have double buffs, though, from that initial kill going over his way, and that may help for at least a little bit.
So you can see the gold here and where it is, Lucid, Shiu, and Smash having the advantages. One thing I do want to point out that even though Shiu has that massive CS lead because Keen did go down there, he got the kill, so he's not that far behind. You see the lead for Smash is 2 waves there too at 800 gold. But because Showmaker spent so much time trying to threaten those roams, did commit the Weaver as well, Chovy is doing just fine, right? He is the one who we haven't talked about too much, but this Cassiopeia is right now feeling pretty good. We'll see if he can do much with this.
You say he's chovying a little bit?
He's chovying. I mean, he's top CS in the game, as you guys could see, as he often basically always is.
I feel like it's the first time that we've said we haven't spoken about Chovy that much in a Gen.G game. So I'm really proud of us, just as a team.
He lasted 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes of game without only talking about Chovy is incredible, I would say. So, yeah, I'm proud of all of this. Okay, Keen moving up here towards his top side. And yeah, the reason we haven't been talking about him is because it hasn't really been about the mid lane outside of Showmaker cruising on a wall to get towards other lanes and influencing them instead. But
also, Shiu has teleport advantage here from the earlier play since it had to be a TP back from Keen, so that tempo matters here. It means that Canyon, because he's low on health, isn't going to be able to do anything. They just back, or he just backs rather, and TP's back in, and now he's at full health, and he's got back control of the lane.
And he's got the Eclipse, so it's kind of in a very rough position here for Keen right now.
I mean, Eclipse, Sundered Sky for Lucid, Triforce for Smash, a lot of big item spikes coming in for Dplus here, and they're in a great spot to leverage. Even the Exohelia for Karma makes a big difference in those early skirmishes for that extra sustain.
Oh, that's annoying.
That's super annoying.
Wow.
And Lucid's going to get this dragon because he knew that Canyon was topside, so he just heads right over here. Canyon's gank is a wash. Just gets a TP out of Shiu, and now they have double dragon here for this Mountain Soul.
Yeah, Canyon now going to move over and look for career as Lucid dashes in. Magical Journey gets Duro out of the way. Bit of a 1v1 between these 80 carries on the bottom side of the map as Canyon is going to give up the ground as Showmaker moves his way over. And Duro looking for another wraparound here. Career might be in a little bit of trouble as he does get the heal out of the Karma.
Flash out of Duro off the chain as well.
Okay, having a look now towards his top side though. Keen feeling a little worse for wear. We mentioned the Eclipse spike, and my goodness.
Also level 11, I don't know if you know this, but Ambessa gets to skill up her ult again and gets more free sustain and armor pen. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
You got the wheeze. You got the wheeze out of Atlas.
You did.
You got the LCK Trackcast wheezing in game 1. All right. We got Jin, we got
I was hoping to save the wheeze for game 2.
Zeri's falling out of the meta. I don't even have a job here anymore. I don't even have a thing.
No. Showmaker played Zoe again. Remember, you can have your old job back.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Let's talk about mid out of turrets. It'll be fine.
Look at the CS advantage here for Chovy. It's still growing, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything just yet. I mean, it's an early rod purchase for Chovy, which isn't a spike in terms of damage, so I don't think Dplus really care that much about it. His ruler here is going to have some help from Duro, but he is flashless. Be very careful. And it's just going to be a back to come through here for Smash.
Oh, he got the minion and he stopped Smash's recoil. That's efficient.
That was clever. Both 80 carries really maximizing their annoyance capabilities. So you're going to get this wave crashed in one more time. 350 gold to lead here for the Ambessa, but expecting that Shiu is going to have a bit more of an impact as this game continues. 3 minutes on the Dragon, and it's going to be a Mountain Soul this game as well. Man, Mountain Soul, I think, could really disrupt the game on either side. If Gen.G manages to get some control, stacks up a few of those, a squishy composition like this plus a Shen could then just become absolutely impossible to deal with. The Shen always makes his way in, as the burst would not be enough to take him down before that Stand United come through. And on the other side, I mean, Dplus will just be even more bruisery.
Yeah, I mean, it makes their dive so much more threatening, so much more frustrating to deal with. You can't burst those targets down before they get on top of you. And, you know, I'm concerned right now, if Dplus gets Soul Point, they have so much freedom to play the map with their global Talia and the Talia Vi setup there. Get one piece of CC, like you said earlier, Aux, in the draft, you get all the CCs. Speaking of CC!
Yeah, Vault Breaker comes down. Canyon goes up into the air. Cease and desist held onto here by Lucid for now. As the little doggo is going to get punched a little bit by Lucid, and it looks like the Raptors are what's on his mind. Smash missing a few buttons as Ruler is able to sidestep, so the Jin is going to be all right in that mid lane. Duro unable to find too much joy moving up towards these Raptors as well. Ruler will finally get poked out here by Smash. And the Dplus 80 carry having a very, very good time here in this mid lane for the moment.
There's so much pressure and control from Dplus here. They have the control wood line in the river near the dragon. They have the extra vision in front. Having the Ezreal set up in mid, just able to push out Ruler, push him away from the wave is such a powerful position to be in. And a minute 45 until that next dragon, Gen.G have to figure out a way to get into the river, get vision access, because if you're face checking into this Dplus gear composition, you're just going to get exploded.
Absolutely, that vision is so important. And that turret with it is Showmaker maybe under threat here. Magical Journey.
Yeah, Magical Journey does come down. There is the wall out though. Just sidesteps the Tempered Fate and says goodbye.
I do think the ult into Magical Journey combo looked slick, but it just have to hit.
Yeah. We'll work on that coming into the next one. Shelly is going to get a little bit frustrated here, but I don't think anyone on Gen.G really wants to start her up with so many bad guys towards that top side of the map. Dawn comes in, Shio taking the rough end of that trade for the moment. Titanic Hydra done. Kane is feeling a little bit better in the matchup now.
So much vision control and so much space control over this Herald right now, Dplus do, and they have the mid prio. I mean, there's bottom lane control for Shio. He has a free teleport whenever he wants to use it. I think this Herald is likely going to eventually go over to Dplus here. There's just no challenging it. There's no Tempered Fate just yet here for Duro since he just used it on that previous play. They aren't going to set up for it. We're going to see Lucid back and reset first, but they had so much control of the top side right now.
Yeah, Pickaxe just going to be picked up here by Lucid as he's now moving towards his bottom side jungle. Rift Herald just going to kind of be given up for the minute, as you're going to have to get a whole bunch of these shields back as Keen is pushing him away. Duro and Canyon making their way down, but Showmaker, he's going to turn up and protect his top laner alongside Lucid. There's the Vault Breaker flash looking for Duro, but they don't quite find the target. Keen now able to flash over that wall, and Lucid unable to get on top of Canyon just yet. Finally presses that ultimate button as he flashes out of the way, and the seismic shove will not pick up the doggo this time. Now Toby could be in trouble. The rotation here from Dplus, and she sidesteps the petrifying gaze. Good flash gets Chovy out of there, but they're not out of the woods just yet, and he's running the wrong direction. Smash is able to kill Keen, and there goes Chovy, and she just going to give Smash a pat on the back as he goes back to base.
This setup from Dplus here so good there. Multiple flashes burn across the board as Gen.G scramble to get away. They still lose 2 though, and they're going to lose this dragon.
I think the reason they didn't start Herald with all that control is they had full vision there. They realized Gen.G aren't going there as career maybe caught. It's got help though.
Gets over that wall. Oh man, the Mantra W is just ridiculous. Is now Ruler down to sub 100 health. In the meantime though, Lucid just takes the Drake, and DK will back away. That is sole point, and they have a monopoly on the Dragons this game.
So this is the catch here onto Chovy, just trying to clear up some vision. Kind of greedy, to be honest, considering how many friends of Dplus are on the way down. And Keen comes up here to try to wrestle away this push and try to get something back, and he's almost able to get smashed, but instead just looks like someone had FOMO, wanted to get involved on the play. And Chovy was going to die 100%, but I think thinking you could save him there is unrealistic. Trying to kill Smash was a good turn, but he's not successful. But man, Lucid going to that bottom side play to cover instead of doing Herald was so huge. It got them, it was the first domino of a set of dominoes here as Showmaker will get out of the ult. And the pathing for Lucid this game, he's been everywhere he needs to be all game long. Gets the dragon, and Herald is next on the cards.
Oh dear.
I think Ruler might be a bit dead.
A lot of trouble here. Yep, the exhaust comes in, but he doesn't exactly exhaust the target that was about to kill him. Needs 2 of those, perhaps, is now smashed between these turrets, feeling a little bit awkward. Clears out the way very comfortably, though. The rest of Gen.G not there to defend the Jhin.
And now Smash, 2,300 gold ahead, has that 2-item spike, the fully stacked Mirror Mana, has both summoners, and you look at the side of Gen.G, there are no flashes available. You're already so far behind. The enemy Ezreal is already so strong, and with none of those flashes, I think Gen.G just can't really contest Dplus Key in a 5v5, even in skirmishes, for a long time.
This Herald to take is not realistic here either. Even with just Lucy, he's going to be able to buy enough time for Smash to come over, for Career to come over. Showmaker does have Weaver's Well. They're just going to have to give it up. They thought they could get at least something out in return here for all the commitment there in mid, but they will get nothing, at least not until they group.
And they have teleport advantage towards the bottom side of the map, but Gen.G still do not feel strong enough to go for this fight.
A bold flank coming out here from Gen.G.
And I think it's just simply not going to accomplish all too much.
There is a fair bit of defensive vision, but they have skirted it for the moment. That's an arcane shift over. You didn't want to see that one, as there's the ult in from Canyon. Smash in so much trouble. The curtains are being called for the arcane shift. It comes back up again. The petrifying gaze comes down, and there is the the shutdown for Canyon. They get their target, but at what cost? As the outer turret fell in mid, another one falls in the bottom lane, and Dplus still 4,500 gold ahead.
Crazy that they committed that much for that flank, that wraparound. Dplus didn't read it, right? They weren't aware. You see obviously a shift like that. The reaction time with the instant flash was good. If you get caught there, you were going to die immediately. He was able to buy space there. But that was such a risk for Gen.G. Had they been caught out or had they stepped on a ward that they didn't know was there, they might have lost the game in that moment. That's the kind of desperation they're finding themselves in this early in the game. 4,000 gold down. At least they're able to get the shutdown, but they wanted so much more.
Yeah, not able to get enough to really give you sort of favor at this point, but I think getting the flash from the Ezreal when you're looking towards that dragon, the next one, which will be Soul, any little incremental advantages that you can get, it's not going to put you in a favorable spot, but it can make things a bit softer because they are in a big deficit and you have to be bold in this position. And you got to remember, it's a best of 3 as well. You don't have that much wiggle room. If we end up losing this game 1, you don't have a ton of space to turn things around. So Gen.G playing with fire there. They do manage to make it work in that play, but they need to do a lot more to get this to even close to parity.
All right, and we do have a little bit of a pause here. Not entirely sure what has happened. We are going to take this opportunity to have a little bit of a look at what's been going on around EWC as well. Of course, there are so many games being played and so many finals that we are getting to as well, as we only have one more day left after this for League of Legends as well.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Are huge.
This is Lion winning in Free Fire on the other stage here. An absolutely huge moment. And hoisting the trophy, much like the three remaining teams that are in the running here at League of Legends can do.
Look at how much there is still left to be played at Esports World Cup 2026. We're still so early in it.
And I was actually having a look at the club race as well, and I realized looking at it right now is not really all that helpful because there's so many games yet to play.
I will say, though, obviously, a lot of these organizations have teams across multiple games. Getting a win is so instrumental in moving up those club rankings.
Especially this early. You know you're locked into having that requirement off the table, and so your placements across every other game are really what you're focused on. It won't be as bad if you lose a finals in another game. You'll still get all those points. You're still really in the running. As we'll give you guys an update as soon as we have one about what is going on in this game. We don't have a very clear picture of a referee or any peripheral issues, so it seems to be something a little bit more complex. So thank you for your patience at home.
Yep, Maddox just left the stage, so that might mean that translation successfully happened, and now some fixing of stuff is going to come on through. It's on Gen.G's side of the rift that we did have that pause to come in, but no information as to what actually happened there as well. Hopefully just another peripheral issue or something like that. We're gonna unplug it, plug it back in again, and then hopefully everything's gonna be okay. But it looks like no refs, and we're back.
I guess they did it. The unplug, plug it back in, turn it off, on and off again.
Yeah. I mean, I did work in IT for a bit, and that was 99.9998% of my job.
Wow. I kind of do miss the old Windows XP burner when you, my favorite esports sound snafu is when a peripheral gets plugged in or out of the observer computer, and we get to hear it.
Yep.
As we'll go back to this player, this is the desperation move we just talked about. Smash is able to buy enough space here for the rest of his team to come over. So yes, ultimately they do end up getting that shutdown here with the Nefiri, but they wanted a ton more.
Also, they had to get the 4th shot from the Jhin and that last little dagger from the Nefiri. Imagine if they'd missed one of those two, and they hadn't even got that kill, so it was down to the last little bits of HP to get up that kill, otherwise it would have just been a pretty dud play other than getting the flash from Smash. So.
2 minutes left until this Soul. Kobe's going to have his rod complete. He's built defensively here on this Cassiopeia with the rocket belt, which isn't necessarily going to be a lot of big damage in this fight. The Jhin is far from relevance.
Far behind.
And I think Gen.G, they were hoping they were going to get so much from that fight that they were going to get prio. They were going to actually be in control of this upcoming dragon, but instead, it's going to be another miracle, another rabbit they're going to have to pull out their hats on this one.
And 2 items has been done here for Shio as well. He's got so much power here in this lane.
If you look at the inventory, there's multiple Gen.G members who have most of the components, the items they want, their second item. Like you look at Keen, you look at Ruler. not having that rapid fire for Ruler, not having that Dusk and Dawn for Keen is such a big issue, because I feel like gold leads, if you're just enough to get some extra components, doesn't swing it that much, but completed items are such a spike, and that's really where Gen.G are behind. And 45 seconds, we do see both Ruler and Keen recalling, so I'm hoping they're going to be able to finish those items off. Rapid fire comes in. Does Keen have the Dusk and Dawn?
It's gotta be close.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
24.
Looks like he wasn't able to finish it.
Not exactly the greatest here, but we'll have that stand united in order to join a fight. Teleport in from Showmaker will bring him over towards his dragon 20 seconds early, so the Dplus can get this one set up. He's surfing around these walls.
They're trying to get some prio here, but the dragon is so tanky. You know, it's Mountain Dragon. It's not like they can rush it. They're going to have to force a fight here. Rod completes for Chovy, but he's not 16. This whiffs.
Yeah, Tempered Fate is just going to go wide. Dplus with control of mid for now.
Showmaker with a thumbs up.
Oh, man. They're feeling themselves. Canyon going to get slowed down here. As we do have Shiu looking for that flank angle. Public Execution is going to go wide, but Chovy so far up, and he's pushed out of the fight. Miasma goes down. Keen gets into the backline, but Shiu doing the same thing. Petrifying Gaze, so good here for Chovy, still doing the damage, and he takes out Smash. Seismic Shove goes wide. Showmaker still incredibly healthy in the fight, and the fourth bullet goes wide. Still Gen.G members standing, and they will be able to take control of this dragon. Dplus, though, seeing whether they can get on in here and disrupt. Lucid still with that smite. They get the Miasma down and they take down the Drake.
I think they pulled the rabbit out of the hat. Chovy's able to live with just enough health there to turn around and get that massive ultimate. You kill Smash, you win the fight. This is all Chovy here. Looks like he's pushed too far forward, but he's got the Shen ultimate. He itemized defensively. That's the difference maker here. That's how he survives, and then wait for it. Able to push his way forward. The timing literally perfect as he takes Smash out here, and that wins them the fight and gets them their first dragon of the game. It's still a long way to go for Gen.G to come back in this game, but this is step one.
That was absurd timing.
It was crazy. I mean, he was just dead if he was just a split second earlier or later in any way. Catches Smash off guard, and also, in terms of the window to get the dragon, Shiu had TP. He was resetting the TP back in at full HP with that shield, and he would have just ran rampant with no cooldowns available. So Gen.G, I feel like everything aligned perfectly. They did exactly what they needed to get that dragon and get out now. They're not out of the woods, but they have bought themselves time.
Now, I think we're going to go back to talking about Chovy the whole time, because that was an unbelievable play to save the game here for Gen.G as Canyon flips on out. Does have to deal with all those rocks strewn on the ground, as it looks like this is just a battle for a Rip Scuttler for the moment. Smash taking a fair bit of damage here from Ruler, making use of that rapid fire cannon, but another True Shot Barrage does go wide. There's the cease and desist, and the combo with the Talia. Chovy does get the Petrifying Gaze down, but he's going to fall this time. It's in trade for Lucid, though, as Shiu will teleport into the fight. Keen does the same thing. Massive shields for these top laners. With the 1-for-1 trade, and feeling okay here for Gen.G, especially when Shiu gets turned on here at the top side of the fight. Showmaker comes over, but he's the only one here to support outside of Korea, who finally gets on over. Smash now gets on in, and there is a public execution. Duro is going to die on the backside of the fight. Canyon has to get out of there. There's Smash chasing him down. The shutdown comes in for Keen, though. Korea so incredibly close to dead, but Smash gets the snipe, and he's looking for another one. He wanted to kill all of them at the same time, but the True Shot Barrage misses. Still, he's able to take down Keen, and Dplus back in the driver's seat once again.
Smash makes up for the earlier mistake by cleaning house on Gen.G there. Only Canyon able to escape, and we get to see his point of view. He's just skirting around the fight flawlessly, Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot connecting on these targets. And for a bit of time, it felt like Gen.G was able to stabilize, but Smash is just advancing onto his counterpart, chases down Ruler, and does not miss that final shot.
Endless Hunger in the inventory. It's a huge spike. He has the third item, so if you're able to hit all of those shots in this extended fight, you are just going to take it over. And there was a moment you could see Career realize this fight is won. We're no longer focused on winning the fight. We're focused on the chase down. He went forward, flashed in there to get the root onto Ruler, because he knew we're looking to clean up. We're not trying to fight to anymore. I don't need to defend anybody. Smash doesn't need my help. And Dplus incredibly confident in that moment.
And I have to say, after Smash gets caught out like in the most pristine moment by Chovy, still playing that like fast and loose in the very next fight, I mean, that is pretty impressive.
Oh, they might be looking for Showmaker here. We've seen a lot of bottles, Tempered Fates thrown at Showmaker, not so many actually hitting, but
The Maker's aware.
Wouldn't back off.
Yeah, he's aware something is going on. He's going to play defensively. He's going to get Lucid to come up.
Max, I'm going to have to point something out of you, and I'm sorry about this. Take a look at Rulers.
Oh, no. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it.
I thought you were going to mention that Shiu got level 3 of his ultimate.
I was going to say, like, he's level 17. I haven't heard about level 16 yet from you, Daniel.
Yeah, it's pretty broken. But, you know, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure Collected Jin has it in to cut through him.
Smash has doubled nearly the damage of Ruler in this game. And when you're accelerated on that Israel, you have those 3 items, and the Jin is behind, and the team is struggling. You just aren't going to be able to do a whole lot. Chovy's the one who has to do the big damage. He has to do the heavy lifting.
And Smash just got his 4th item.
Yeah.
Cyrildas is just done.
Yeah.
He's 4,200 ahead.
That is a lot of money ahead. I'm looking at the gold lead, and yeah, that is 80% Smash. And that's exactly where you want the money on at this stage of the game. 5 kills on this Ezreal as we have a look at him right now. Just, yeah, printing money on the Rift. 30 seconds until this next Drake, and that is Soul once again an opportunity for DK.
Chovy has the arm guard. Again, just itemizing defensively, hoping for another big play here, hoping to pull another rabbit out of the hat. I mean, the last time his play was cinematic, it was almost like an anime. You know, that he was able to predict exactly what was going to happen there. But I don't know if he's going to be able to make Lightning strike the same place twice here on this upcoming Dragon fight. This time they don't have Prio.
Yeah, and the thing is, they can't just play front to back and let Smash free hit. He does so much damage now that they will just lose. They have to find a way to catch out this Ezreal. He fortunately doesn't have Flash available, but Smash is such a massive threat right now. If Gen.G don't shut him down, he will dominate this fight.
Well, teleport to come in here as Shiu looking for that angle. Actually has a really good one here, but the ward will spot him out. Juro looking to try and catch as Shiu is able to dash his way out of there. The Deadly Flourish does not connect though, and Lucid does have control of this Drake for the minute. There's the Weaver's Wall as Canyon is still in there. He does not want to give away this Mountain Soul, but he's almost just dead. True Shot Barrage comes on over. It's somehow Chovy that locks down the Dragon, but can they actually win the fight? Tempered Fate actually going to ruin Canyon's ultimate, and now it's Smash's point of view as we watch him help take down Keen. The public execution is massive as well. As you can see, he is just skirting the battlefield, finding the rest of them, and this Ezreal is raining death on Gen.G as Dplus Kia look to push for the win.
Smash shifts left. He's cutting off the retreat. He says no one's getting out of here alive as they get completely wiped on the Dragon fight, and there was just nothing in it for Gen.G. The Fury Ultimate can get you out of a lot, but there's so much CC to avoid. He dodged the True Shot Barrage because he knows Smash is the scariest part of this
Oh
game.
yeah.
And Shiu diving in and just causing so much chaos. They didn't even get the Mountain Soul. He didn't have the extra durability. He didn't care. They could not cut through him in time, and Smash bearing down on them just decimated Gen.G. We're gonna get the replay. Canyon ends up taking so much damage to the wall, to putting it in this uncomfortable position. We have to decide to be ahead of it or behind. Makes it very hard. Chovy does secure the Dragon. They try and escape using the ult from Canyon to get out, but then Smash going for this angle that cuts off the retreat, and Shiwu says, I have the backing of this Ezreal. Him and Lucid dive in, and despite getting low, the damage just isn't there, and Smash is hitting Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot.
There's just no way out, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, the Fed Israel's on the left side. Guess we'll push towards the enemies on the right. The Ambess is just flying through. They're in the blender. And I think this game is now all but done. Gen.G had that one Hail Mary fight. Chovy had that amazing ultimate, but that's all they've had in this one. And I think that was their final chance to win something big and get the gold back. And now 10,000 gold behind. I think they're thinking about game 2.
I have to say, we were watching Smash's perspective the first time around. Looking at it again, though, like, Chovy getting caught by that seismic shove. The coordination's still there from the rest of Dplus to make sure that Smash has all the space in the world to dance around the battlefield. It's beautiful to see here from a Dplus that had some difficulties in some of these games, right? Like they had, you know, the 0-10 top lane situation. You know, like there are a few moments here that have been a little shaky. This time around, though, Dplus looking fantastic. Another shove will connect as Chovy not going to get saved by a Tempered Fate. Don't know whether that would have been a savior-type maneuver anyway, as Shiu getting this push into the mid lane, really pulling Gen.G around the map. And Keen are going to lose a lot.
He's just trying to get Bounty Go on the bottom side. He's going to have to come back here to defend his team with his teleport if the fight does break out, but he just knows, I mean, he can't do much good here sitting back as a melee. He's trying to get money for them on the other side.
Yeah, it does have to stand united, but the problem is, I don't know whether it really even helps them enough. As Dplus will take down the inhibitor on the top side of the map. Now looking for this mid lane. If they break 2 of them, it will mean that the Soul should become pretty comfortable to take down. Not going to happen this time around, though, as they are just going to go for the reset. Having a look to see what kind of items are going to be coming in next. Is it 5 for Smash? And yes, it is.
Wow.
So,
Wait, we've got a BF as well.
Yeah, he's half a GA.
Wow, 5 and a bit.
Yeah. And as well, Shu has the Death Stance now, and I just think they don't have the damage to cut through him. They just don't have the space to breathe when he's bearing down. Chovy is really providing the DPS in this composition for the most part, but you know, a lot of his itemization, as we said before, has been defensive, which, you know, it makes sense. I'm not going to criticize
into this comp,
that.
I mean, for real.
But it just means you don't have the same level of damage output that can cut through Shiwu quick enough. Death Dance buying so much time. Now, Canyon has found a bit of a flank position, but looks like they're not pulling the trigger yet.
Yeah, Gen.G wants to play against T1. Well, I mean, if they do lose here, that is exactly where they're going to be. I don't think we have any bad matchups the rest of this tournament at all. Like, everything is a banger, no matter what we get. The Cinderella story of KC versus DK would be unbelievable. But then, alongside it, in the 3rd place match, we get Gen.G versus T1, one of the all-time classics of South Korean League of Legends. So we are kind of spoiled towards the end of EWC here, but obviously it is very early days. It's still game number 1 of this best of 3. Dplus are in a great position. They still need to destroy the Nexus. Gen.G have been tenacious in the past.
So much push power here. 15 seconds until what may be, on the 3rd time of asking, is Soul here.
Going in.
Yeah, looking for the Shen delivery system here as well, as they don't quite find the taunt. Smash just gets himself out of the way, uses his barrier. That is going to be Showmaker falling down, though, as Lucid gets into that backline, looking for Ruler, has to flash. Will be able to create a whole lot of distance, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Down to the GA, public execution, gets Shiu in there, but it's 1 versus 5, as Lucid will finally be taken down. Smash trying to get a little bit of space here in this fight, but Gen.G, they just grabbed 2 picks.
Right before Dragon, too. Right before Dragon, and it's a ult on the Smash. They can't kill the Ezreal, but they win the fight, and now Smash's life is a lot tougher. There's no vision here for Gen.G.
Oh dear, Turo should almost be taken down, but not quite. Trisha Barrage is going to go wide there as well. They are out of cooldowns as now Chovy's in a little bit of trouble. Down to the GA goes Shiu. Smash still raining damage down, but it's just not quite enough. He's going to fall, and Shiu is going ballistic in the back line. He'll be taken out finally as the curtains have been called, and Smash has Arcane Shift away, but that 3rd bullet will be his last. And the shutdown comes in for Ruler. That gold advantage for Smash is cut in half, and now both teams have Soul Point.
Oh, but Dplus,
wait a minute.
looking for an angle.
Don't tell me they're going to be able to stop them from doing this, Dragon. Keen taking a lot of damage from Showmaker, who has finally turned back up to this fight. Korea there to help him out.
Back away.
Just gets out of the pit, and Lucid's going to come on over. This should be Mountain Soul.
It was so close here for Gen.G from denying a 3rd Dragon there the entire play. Getting Smash early, getting that tempo. Felt like maybe it was going to be enough, but they're just so far behind. The Dplus are like, we 3v5 these. It doesn't matter. They had the GA to play through.
The fact that they ended up taking down, and a big thing here is, so Keen's waiting for the Arcane Shift, but unfortunately doesn't wait it out long enough. Then Chovy looks for the mid-jungle, finds them, and then Lucid does his best to escape, but walks on a trap that slows him down. The thing is, this is a great start for Gen.G. They've really found an impossible situation and kind of made it possible, but the problem is the members still alive, importantly, are Smash and Shiwu, who are just so strong. Smash with all the damage, and Shiwu just so survivable in this situation. He goes in, and even though eventually he goes down to his GA, we see Keen try and go for a taunt as he comes back up, but he dashes immediately, and they just cannot handle the fresh set of cooldowns. He causes so much chaos.
Yeah, and there's just no way to get to Smash. They don't have the Nafiri ult anymore. It's about to come back up, but it isn't there, so they just cannot close the gap. And finally, they take him down, but so much damage has been done.
If Shiu had 1 extra damage item, Ruler would have been dead in that fight. And I think she would have just straight up won. We've got another battle. He gets into the backline once again as Ruler is right in amongst it. That is the Stand United on top of the Jin and Shiu, able to keep himself alive. In the meantime, though, Lucid goes way too deep. And Dplus, they will lose their jungler in the fray.
I mean, Gen.G are just trying to fight their way through this. I mean, they're trying to outplay and out-team fight Dplus. They have a lot of tools. They're trying to set that up, and this Cassiopeia is getting bigger and bigger. So they are able to, for the moment, win a small battle here, killing Lucid. They will be able to get this inhibitor respawned, and little by little, they're whittling away at that gold lead. We're getting later and later into the game. Elder spawns in 4 minutes. There may yet be a thread of hope here for Gen.G.
And Max, all I can think about is a 10,000 gold lead at a certain haircut bet you made a long time ago.
Yes, my least favorite haircut is a result of these two teams. Absolutely true. Thankfully, no bets were made in this game, but it has been absolute chaos between the two.
This peel was so good. Keen putting down the Shroud to block the auto attacks. And then when Lucid goes in, a great stun from the Bard to keep Ruler alive. The peel, you look how low Ruler was, even with that phenomenal peel. He could have died so easily there if it wasn't perfect play from Gen.G to get him out.
And now you've got full items for Smash. The GA has now been completed. Ruler is only one behind, though. He has his Infinity Edge done. He has the Mortal Reminder completed. He is doing some damage, even with that Serpent's Fang, to help deal with a whole bunch of these shields that are going to be coming in, especially with the Mountain Soul on top of Dplus Kia.
And, I mean, Keenan's been behind this whole game, but he's so difficult to kill now. With his ultimate as well, it makes such a big impact, but with Jack Show's running, you know, it takes about, 2,000 Ezreal Qs to actually kill this guy.
That's a lot of Ezreal Qs.
And he has the MR for Showmaker as well, so he's built accordingly here, and it means that, it buys a lot of time for Chovy, who's eventually now starting to get some of these damage items online. Bloodletter's curse is completed, and then longer fights, which every fight has gone incredibly long, he is going to do so much. As they're actually looking to start the Baron.
I mean, they do it so quickly with Chovy, right? This Cassiopeia really cuts through that Baron extremely quickly. But they're not going to be able to stay on top of it. Dplus understanding, getting that vision where they need to. They still have a 5,000 gold lead, but this game feels like it could go either way. I really do feel like Gen.G have righted the ship and created such an even game state between these two squads. We've got 2 minutes until the Elder Dragon. And, I mean, it wouldn't be Gen.G versus Dplus without a little bit of Elder
Start the Baron, right? Though, and there's a lot of Gen.G that needs to really get over here quickly. They're going to back Keen and then TP him in.
Yeah, does have the Stand United, so you can go for the Doggo delivery system. They would like to get Canyon in there. True Shot Barrage going to be avoided there by Chovy as Dplus. They just pull off the Baron. Man, Mountain Soul kind of broken for that. As now Smash moving forward.
Yeah, they get the TP of Team, which is big, but he still has to Stand United. Now they're potentially looking.
Yeah, Lucid looking to try and get on in there as the Magical Journey does take Ruler out of there, and he tries to flash to get to safety. Down to the Guardian Angel now as Keen turns up with about 1 billion health. He looks like a Baron with that health bar right now. And once again, it's Lucid taking a nap.
Pushing mid, though. Pushing mid. They're going to get this inhibitor at least, so even though they end up getting the pick there, Gen.G will lose their part of their base.
Let's see whether Dplus can actually keep them busy as well. As you see, the Shen makes his way over Keen, fighting against Shiu. As that inhibitor does go down, Showmaker looking for Duro. He takes a Magical Journey to get out, but Dplus, they have them right where they want them. The bottom lane now just getting dealt with by Showmaker alone. He's now letting the rest of his teammates move towards that top side. In the meantime, it is going to be Shiu going down. Keen able to pick that one up for his 4th in a row. And the curtains have been called. Maybe Showmaker's in trouble now as he does get a nice shove back. But the flash forward from Duro comes in. And Showmaker will be taken out. Gen.G, I swear over the last 7 minutes of this game, have just done only the right thing.
It's been such a good game from Keen. He's everywhere. He helps defend the push. They lose the inhibitor. He gets the kill. And they buy space on the top side despite being a man down there. 3v4, they are able to defend. They get the Baron, and this comeback is unreal.
The decision-making and the resource allocation, sending 2 back into the base and using those 3 just to kite them round. It was such a daring move, but it got them the Baron. It succeeded in the heist, and now Elder up in 15.
Shiu lost his GA too, so he doesn't have GA. We'll be able to TP back to this fight, but this is going to be the game-defining moment. So many turrets to go through. It's crazy. We were going to see
a massive 20 seconds. They need 20 seconds before these solo laners can come in, and I don't think they've got it. As Gen.G will start off this Dragon Lucid going to try and make it a 50-50 smash, trying to get in there with these Mystic shots. But it is so dangerous, and this is going down so incredibly quickly. Into the back lane he goes, he doesn't manage to secure it. It's Chovy that picks up the Dragon, and the Tempered Fate is going to land on this smash. He tries to Arcane Shift out of the way, and he will successfully leave, but it's Lucid dead once again. And Gen.G have got everything.
Gen.G were 10,000 gold down. They have 1 turret to their name. They're going to take a gold lead here on this push in a 42-minute game. This is absolutely insane, the turnaround here. The resilience, how much they held on. An absolutely bonkers game now without Lucid here. It's very difficult to look for an engaged Choose on the flank to try to stop this push, but he's going to get found.
Yeah, Canyon moves on in. And will be able to push you out of the way. The Magical Journey is going to try and catch him here. He uses the ultimate to try and stay unstoppable and get out of the way. Showmaker trying to buy some time, but it's not going to get enough. And with the Elder pushing through, it's still another 1.5 minutes on this massive buff. And Gen.G are just unrelenting. Lucid dead for another 5 seconds. It might get them a 5v5 in their base. The problem is, the stats are just ridiculous on Gen.G. Chovy going forward, looking to try and lock down Showmaker. Into the Tempered Fate he goes, and Drew going to slow him down. At least he manages to get that Mikhail's out from Korea to help get Showmaker out of there. But Gen.G, I mean, they can go back and look for a reset if they'd like to. At least Dplus have that inhibitor down in mid to help buy them a bit of time.
Yeah, Dplus care, the game is definitely not in the state they wanted, but they bought enough time and weathered out the Baron and Elder without going. This is crazy because
Chovy a second time.
Yeah,
secured.
Keen had Flash and Taunt, so I thought he was going to try and go and keep Lucid out the pit, but he makes it in, and it comes down to 2 HP. And the ticking from the poisons, just securing it for Chovy. This was such a delicate situation, and I feel like that has been the story of this game. Gen.G finding these knife-edge plays, making them work, and coming out clean time and time again to get back to now have a gold lead in this game.
This is a miraculous comeback, like a miraculous one. Sure, we all saw the bro versus DNS game, DNF at the time. Everybody knows that story, right? But this is a different level of play that we are seeing here. This is not a throw from Dplus. This is an outplay by Gen.G. I mean, we saw the miraculous catch on the smash, right? Like, that was the first step back in, and it feels like the stuff we've seen after that is just almost comparable, almost even in terms of how difficult it is to pull off, how challenging this game has been to play. Gen.G did not lose control of their mindset, right? I mean, it's crazy, crazy stuff here.
My hair feels uncomfortable, and I didn't make a bet. So.
Do you want to?
No.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
It's a bit late at this point anyway.
Smash had a 6,000 gold advantage, and now gold is entirely irrelevant because they all have like 7 items, both of these 80 carries, but that is already down to only 1.5k. Like, this game is entirely stabilized. And it's neck and neck.
If you think about the mental fortitude of Gen.G in this game, is absolutely crazy, right? But consider that this series might be ruined. This is what I'm afraid of. If Dplus lose this game, which right now they're not in control, if they are currently losing this game, how could they recover in this mess if they're going into game 2?
If you lose this game, I think it is almost too much. But Ruler is going to be caught out of position. We all know this one. There is Keen there for the defense, though. The Deadly Flourish comes down, and Lucid's once again in a dire situation. Still, onto the backline goes Shiu, looking for Chovy, who goes down to 50%, but will be all right for now. Shiu trying to dash his way out as Canyon with the ulti is going to close the distance, but I believe Dplus have made it out of there. The problem is, they're the ones that started it.
But they got the flash from Ruler, and that's the fact that the state of the game didn't really change, but they got Ruler's flash. You take that. Definitely a delicate spot, but they disengaged from the situation, and now we look, Baron in a minute 15, Elder in 2 minutes. The Jin is a much more vulnerable target now.
Absolutely. And when you look at I think part of why Dplus have lost control of this game is both AD carries can't do traditional AD carry jobs in this game because it's an Ezreal who can't break through this Shen's health bar and get access to Chovy and a Jin, right? So which of these mid laners do more damage? It's the Cassiopeia that's fully scaled up into this late game. Showmaker could get a pick, and I think Dplus need to play for pick like they just did to try to get Ruler, because in a straight up 5v5 team fight when no one has a real true advantage, I think the longer fight always favors Gen.G.
They did just complete the Rabadon's death cap, though, on Showmaker, so that is a big deal. Yes, he's only got 4 items, but at least one of them is a pretty dangerous one.
Chovy also got his Rabadons just now as well.
Okay, well, never mind.
And with an extra item.
He exchanged that, like that was a 7-stack Dark Seal that has now become a Rabadon's Death Cap. So
that's a good trade.
Yeah, I would say that that is a pretty good trade.
Plus have a Vi, Talia, Ambessa combo. I think they have to do something crazy, like, you know, start a Baron early and look for a turn. They're looking for picks right now. She was surfing on the edge.
Yeah, trying to play side lanes with this Ambessa is kind of what they're looking at the moment. 6 items, he's very scary at level 20. And now just going to be dashing forward towards Duro and Chovy. Kind of difficult with the miasma there, but it does get skirted by Shio, at least for the moment. It's Gen.G taking control of these waves.
Vision control here for Dplus. This is where it gets scary for Gen.G because they do not know exactly what Dplus is doing. Now, obviously, Smash poking out here a little bit more. We're 30 seconds until Elder, and Gen.G like to play for Prio and not fight into that vision. They are moving towards the Elder Pit, the more relevant objective in this case.
It's going to have to be played so intelligently by Dplus if they do want to win this. I feel like Gen.G have gotten over that mid-game hump and are just deadly in these 5v5s, especially if Keen finds the right target. He's so good at protecting his carries.
The Elder's now
moving forward.
They bought time. Elder's 10 seconds away, and Gen.G are towards the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, Duro now down to about 50%. They are softening them up. Dplus utilizing a bit of a range advantage here, landing some extra skill shots, but there is Korea getting taken down by some of this bleed damage out of the Nefiri. Duro getting pushed out though.
Starting to work on the Elder. Chovy looking for a wraparound here.
Yeah, he can weave his wall to make his way in though, can Showmaker. So Chovy might find himself a little bit alone and not with the rest of his teammates. This Weaver's Wall is going to be pivotal.
He's just outpacing him with his passive, Showmaker is. He's able to get back to the team. He can set up that wall.
You're going to get stunned there. There is a taunt. He does have a GA. Tries to get himself out with that one available. And the snipe from Ruler comes in. Now the rest of Gen.G trying to make the angle happen, but Showmaker gets the flash over the wall. Duro trying to get in there. The Cosmic Binding's fantastic. Canyon gets rid of Korea, but now Lucid is trying to make this one happen. Smash is in amongst absolutely everyone, trying to lay down these Mystic shots. True shot, and he murders everyone. It's Keen, the last one standing, but Smash will take him down. No need for a dragon, and Smash will be winning this game.
Look at its face! That True Shot barrage just gave me goosebumps across my whole body. I cannot believe they won that fight. It looks doomed.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Gen.G versus Dplus Kia, and we might have 2 more of these.
We just watched Gen.G claw that game back for 20+ minutes, but in that final fight, that final moment, Smash stood strong and managed to shut them down and take game 1 of this series. Only game 1, but what an absolute marathon that
out of that draft. But I honestly feel like in game number 1, draft didn't necessarily mean that much, and you were talking about it, the mental and emotional bounce back that needs to happen here, especially for Gen.G after getting so close to clutching that game 1, will be the thing that's going to mean the most as we load up here. Game number 2 onto the Rift. See whether it's Gen.G evening out the series or whether Dplus Kia can get a clean sweep and then a date with KC in the final.
What an unexpected finals we were going to have
absurd.
Either way.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially Dplus, right? Crazy, crazy stuff in this tournament. So fun. Career, not going to like this exchange.
Yeah, Smash is going to move on over, but Gen.G are going to back away before anything really happens, even takes that last bouncing bomb or the water balloon, as Ruler has decided to go for the best possible Zig skin.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Just the correct call on that skin. It's the rubber ducky on the satchel.
It's so good. It also just looks like he'd be so safe in the water as well, which is very, very important. Korea down to 50%.
Really well. The aftershock was already down in Korea from the earlier trade, and he just goes for a quick short trade, doesn't let him get a stun back. That's some heavy poke on a Korea, and I feel like if you're playing this MF Leona into the Ziggs, Camille, you want to win lane.
Yes, you want to be oppressive. You want to be using the early stats. I mean, she has really good base stats at level 1, and those first few levels will just be able to damage through auto attacks. If Ruler misses a Q, for example, you always outwin those exchanges because you can continue to do damage as an AD carry. Showmaker wants to, in this lane, continue to poke. We've seen this matchup a few times here at EWC 2026. You just get the lead early as best as you can before the Akali gets her ultimate, becomes a larger threat. Showmaker is doing a great job of it so far.
Yeah, but this is expected. This is what he has to do. We're going to have to see whether he can keep it up, because Chovy, if he's good at anything, making sure that he can get the CS in a melee versus range matchup. And so far, so good. Does get the backflip here. I was half expecting him to go back in on that one, but decides not to.
I feel like so many of the Akali matchups just look so uncomfortable and you're constantly under pressure, but then you just sustain out from Doran Shield, second wind, and you're actually fine. You're just kind of like the limping dog meme.
Yeah.
But eventually you get to a point where you just are able to out-move and out-position the skill shot-based Syndra, and it makes it very difficult for her to defend herself. See Chovy dodging some of those cues with his backflip. We saw Faker do the same thing in this matchup yesterday. It's very tricky, but if you can minimize the damage, heal up with that Doran Shield, you can get out of the laning phase just fine. It's a tightrope of how well can Chovy defend and how much pressure can Showmaker apply.
Well, right now, Lucid is going to find Duro making his way over towards this mid lane, actually trying to get on over towards him as the wall dive does come on down. A lot of damage as Lucid lands that Tempest Cripple, and Chovy just trying to push Showmaker out of the way so that Duro will survive. Sonic Wave goes wide. Lucid will let the Camille live for the moment. Good pressure here from Dplus as Showmaker looking for a solo, doesn't quite get it, but will be able to push him out of lane. Now Canyon turns up towards that top side. Decent path maker there for Shiu, who flashes, and First Blood still goes over to Canyon.
And here's the cost of Lucid showing up in the bot side river. Is that Canyon knows he can go for this gank. There's no real recourse. And the fact they kill Shiwu with his flash being burnt and don't commit a summoner themselves, Gen.G very happy with that early play.
It's so difficult to kill a Cassante early, especially with the Skarner, but he was up in the lane pretty far there. Keen maximized the damage on that rotation. He's able to buy a cull as well as that tier here on first back, so he is really loving the game state. We'll watch this from Canyon's perspective here as his E comes up. And see, there's just not much that can be done here. Sidestep is there, but it means the damage comes through from Keen. Clean.
Yeah, not too bad at all. So Canyon able to lock down First Blood. And Korea moving alongside Duro back down towards this bottom side of the map. Smash will show up once again, does have a Vampiric Septant now in his back pocket, and should help with these bouncing bombs that are going to be thrown around the lane.
That's one thing with playing the Misfortune into mages, is so often when the mages are one-item spike, you're just pushed out, they're going to poke you, it's really frustrating, but MF, the build path is blood distances, so you can sustain up the wave pretty effectively, the poke is less threatening, and you can often challenge for mid-prio quite effectively as a result. You can walk up, and if you dodge a bouncing bomb, you just auto-attack Ziggs. So I think that might have been the thought process of Dplus here and going for this pick, but we'll have to see if you can smoothly get to that point in the game.
Yeah, Keen Jace now off to the races here towards the top side. Didn't manage to get that First Blood, but still gets an advantage from it. You can see 10 CS in advantage, close to a 600 gold lead, as it will be an Ocean Dragon first up in this game, meaning that the souls are going to look better and better based on that one already being out of the pool. And Shiu, oh man. We have seen the Cassante matchup be okay into the Jace. It's not looking like that right now as Duro finds Lucid doing the Drake. I don't know whether he's going to deter him with Korea coming on over to help out.
This is just going to be first Dragon over to Dplus. So on the bottom side control in this early draft, or the early lane rather, and then we'll be able to take that one away. We have Ocean and the Cloud to start as Canyon's looking for a gank here onto this immobile Syndra. Does have flash. And Showmaker's playing very respectfully of that possibility despite not having a topside ward.
Yeah, should be all right here. Zenithblade is going to connect on to Ruler, who satchels himself away. Will be able to keep himself alive. Does take a decent chunk of damage, as now Canyon's going to move in. Flash comes out from Showmaker. Throws an orb at Canyon, but Canyon's not going to be too worried.
It didn't look for the play bottom side. Lucid was heading down there, and I thought if Canyon shows, this could be a problem, right? Because he could look for a dive, the Lee Sin dive on that bottom lane, but they don't opt for it. So there's no cross map here for Lucid, it's just a free flash.
And now Canyon looking for level 6 on this Crab as well. Might be able to immediately use that as he is towards his top side. Shiu without his flash, but I think it can make things annoying.
Yeah, makes it a bit scary. I think it was the patience of Canyon in that mid lane play. I assume from Showmaker not using the Scout of the Week, he was just waiting for it, him to burn it, and then he has no way to stop the charge from the Skarner. And now that Chovy has that level 6 available, also a few more points in his queue as well, that 5-point strike, he is a much more real threat. This mid-jungle of the Skarner Akali, a lot harder to tangle with, especially for Showmaker on that mobile mage.
Shiu heading to the bottom lane. We're going to swap top side here for Smash. Try to get some additional farm there and also give Shiu the opportunity to play the game a little bit. It's a top lane swap to bottom to avoid that Jay's pressure. Career coming up here as well. Duro will deny him entry. Yep. And Gen.G have a really strong early game, and that's problematic considering what this draft is going to do later on.
Yeah, it's always a worry when the team with, theoretically, a better late game setup is also looking much better in the early game. There is the mid game to worry about, though. Dplus certainly going to be a lot more powerful there with the Lee Sin Syndra combinations, grabbing picks around the map, but they need to make that happen. And it's looking like Gen.G understand where to be throughout the majority of this game. Has certainly been something that they've been known for many, many years so far. 25 seconds until the grubs do pop up, though. And right now, Dplus are in the area.
It's so frustrating to play Syndra into this comp. The Akali has ult, you're playing into a Skarner, you're playing into a Camille support, and you can see it when they keep panning in the mid lane. Showmaker's just always like, there's a lot of things that can kill me right now, and I don't have flash.
Yep.
And I want to harass this Akali, but I need help. It's going to always be resources required to get this Syndra off the ground right now, which opens up the rest of the map for Gen.G.
Oh, it's Control Ward. Getting a lot of value as spots Canyon moving on over. He is starting off these grubs, though.
Lucid is moving in, though.
Let's see whether Lucid can actually grab any of these. Does finally come out of the fog of war. First one will go over to Canyon, but can they claim the rest? That is the question. Chovy moving in. Dplus biding their time. Smash trying to get in here as well, but he isn't quite going to be able to commit. So 3 grubs going over to Gen.G without too much contest.
And I feel like this is the worst case scenario for Dplus here, that you're just there to watch, but you don't get anything from it. Now looking for Chovy, but a good sidestep into the Shroud gets him out. So Dplus here, they put their resources towards the top side of the map. They can't contest the grubs. They can't get Chovy. It's just time wasted, essentially, at this point.
Yeah, not really anything going their way, unfortunately, as Chovy now moving on over towards this battle around the crab. Korea trying to hold his position, is slammed into the wall, does have that aftershock, but he's still just taking down so incredibly low. They look for Chovy, but they lose their Leona. The kick goes back. There's the scatter, but he gets into the Shroud and gets out of the way. Sonic Wave doesn't land. Shiu's going to pick up Canyon. Can they actually pull him through the wall? They can. There's the Unleashed Power, and finally a kill goes over to Dplus Kia, but Gen.G, I think they're all right with it.
This was the best case scenario for Dplus initially. She was actually now in trouble.
Yeah, this one's not over yet as Keen is going to teleport back in, does pick the gap with the Shock Blast, but it doesn't matter. He flashes forward. Shia gonna have to try and dash away. Lucid, I think, might be able to escape, but the Bouncing Bomb finds the Cassante, and it is now 3-1 for Gen.G.
It just feels like in a lot of these plays, you can see what Dplus Kia are going for, but it just keeps escaping them ever so slightly, and Gen.G able to get the edge on the back of that play. Smash still going to be able to pick up some plates to the bot side.
Frustrating thing about how this all starts off here is that they don't have the Cassante here that they want to play through. TP's in super late. Career's just like, I can buy time. I can buy time. I'm a Leona. I got clips. I got Aftershock, but he just isn't able to offer anything. He just solar flares as he dies, and then Chovy escaping here is a disaster. But like, watch the Sonic Wave. He's so close to getting caught by it, and then Shio's like, well, I gotta make something out of this. He gets the focus on the cannon because he's the closest to the wall. So he's able to get the Skarner despite how tanky he is, because that pushes him into the teammate.
I do find that funny that Canyon's like, I want to go through the wall, and she was like, oh, you want to go through the wall? I'll put you through the wall.
Let me help you. I'll take you with me. A bit of an escort.
Shio does ultimately end up fighting the dust here, though, at the end of the play, as Gen.G commit to punish, and now we're starting to see a pretty significant gold lead here, not just in this Jace, but Canyon's pulled ahead. Ruler has a slight advantage as well.
Yeah, Keen with the most money in the game right now, as Ruler is just behind him. And the Drake decides not to be taken here by Canyon. I don't know whether it was the Drake's decision. However, it did not get started, but there is a whole lot of vision here for Gen.G, so they will be able to contest if Dplus do decide to go over there.
And Ruler now with the Ludens, so he can just demolish waves pretty comfortably. And obviously Ziggs is able to be on his own earlier than this, but once you have the Ludens, it's so hard to ever have pressure. It gives Kuro so much freedom. He's looking around the top side of the map.
Actually, taking a bit of damage, but should be all right for the moment.
Dragon being taken by Gen.G at the same time on the bottom side of the map. As being secondary jungler here. We do have a rotation up of Smash looking to swap back down, but that's going to be some time in the meanwhile that Ruler gets alone with this bottom side turret with 3 grubs. Like, this is a Ziggs with 3 grubs. Dplus's return is getting these Raptors, but I just don't know if this is really an equivalent exchange here for them.
Yeah, especially with Smash not being able to get anywhere near this turret on the top side of the map. The wraparound is trying to come through. Let's see whether Lucid can find some value. Not spotted by that Scryer's Bloom, at least for the moment. There should be a crash coming through from Smash, but I mean, just getting a minion wave crashed into the turret is no cross-map play that you would be proud of, and Canyon spots everyone out moving back through his jungle. And at least Shu gets down towards that bottom side, does have his Thornmail now completed, but if he's laning against the Ziggs, that is not going to do all that much.
Yeah, he's really suffering from the fact that he has the heavy armor itemization for the Jace. He just hasn't been matching into him the last while, to be honest. And Thornmail not giving a ton of value into this team anyway, in terms of the healing reduction.
He's played into a Ziggs Akali.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the armor is not having value there, but even the healing reduction, I mean, if Canyon auto-attacks you, I guess, the protoplasm gets reduced. But,
really grasping at straws.
Yeah, I was going to say, not as much protoplasm harness value, so
yeah.
Checkmate.
It's frustrating, though, for Shu, who's been trying to find relevance on this map. He did pick up that kill earlier because the Syndra ult didn't actually secure the kill, so that's part of why he's not massively like he is the furthest behind on the Rift by far, but he could be even worse, is really what I'm getting at here on this Cassante. And you're the front line for a composition that isn't really trying to front to back. And I think that the identity issues that this draft has for Dplus are a little bit on display here, but with a deficit like this early, 2K behind at 13.5 minutes, I don't know if you can get out of the hole. At least there are pick tools here if Gen.G make mistakes, but I think we were all in agreement that we like Gen.G's draft better, and I think the game state likes it as well.
Yeah, nice little scatter here from Showmaker, but Chobi is going to be absolutely fine. Does have those upgraded Merc Treads right now, and is getting closer and closer to the Hextech Gunblade. Canyon just going to drive on over towards this mid lane, move towards the top side of the map. Dura coming on over, will be able to clear out this control ward. And I feel like Dplus, like, they've had ideas, you know, they're trying to go for picks, but Gen.G just move out of the way of where they're trying to attack and just kill someone on the other side.
I mean, look at bot lane. They've all moved to try and collapse in on the Ziggs, and Willa just leaves and walks away. Now, though, Chobi's moving in. He might be going to fire, but we see Shiwu targeted on the top side of the map.
Yeah, let's see whether this all-out is actually going to be able to help him here as he pulls Canyon back. There's a great kick from Lucid as the Solar Flare is going to miss. They do manage to take down the Akali. And in the meantime, not too much happening on the top side of the map as Showmaker is just able to teleport in and protect his top laner.
And this is really huge for Dplus. They get the win on the bottom side. They're rushing to grab first turret. It's down to one plate here. And this is what Gen.G want with their dive as well, but Shu is still so healthy. Looking for that Jace W to try to push this one through. It's the Grubs working with it as well, and they will get first break.
Yep, there's the Hextech ultimatum as well, as he does pull Duro out of there so that he can break that ultimatum. Now Pathmaker to try and get him over, and that's a brilliant Q to connect. Lucid comes down. Keen just kills him, though. Keen's still going to be able to go down as Lucid picks up the kill. Doesn't hit the Q, didn't need it. And a 1-for-1 is going to ensue.
Do you see the traded turrets as well? Obviously, Gen.G got theirs first, but considering Dplus, we're a little bit behind, struggling a bit. I think they're okay with how the trades have panned out, and now Herald up and available, and they'll start that one off.
Well, that's the thing about this, is if they can get this Herald, I think it's absolutely worth, because they were on the top side. They won out on the top side. We're going to see a TP from Chobi to come over here for the contest. Also Smash rotating up right now. This is a really pivotal mid-game fight.
Yeah, Ruler throwing the bouncing bombs in as well as he turned up with his teleport at the same time. Should be the Herald going over to Dplus, but can they keep themselves alive? Is Chobi on a good flank angle? There's the bullet time connecting, but not really for too long. Mega Inferno Bomb's better as Korea should be taken out here. The Impale is going to get eaten by the Pathmaker, and if they lose only the Leona, then this is good news for Dplus.
Absolutely worth. I believe we're able to secure the eye for Lucid there.
They did,
so they did get the eye. They were able to get out, and that's really all you can ask for in this type of game state. Showmaker hits the double scatter to slow the advance. You can see how this composition has some issues, right? And that Smash is like, I'm ready to use my ultimate, but the scatter only lasts so long, and there isn't anything with it except to delay and give them the retreat. So there's the secure. Career has to really sacrifice himself to help get them out. The Solar Flare completely avoided, unfortunately, because of that scatter angle. Good unstoppable, you mentioned in the play-by-play there for Shio to make sure he gets out, and ends up being worth for the side of Dplus. The gold lead has basically stayed the same, so things haven't gotten worse for Dplus, but their woes still continue.
Dragon up and available now. Some good poke on a Duro. Just have some honey fruit there to pick up, but I think the Herald in pocket for Dplus can give them an edge here. Use it as a combat Herald into this. Lucid is very strong. 2-0-1. Could maybe find an angle in on the back of that. He's going to throw it down.
Yeah, All Out is going to be coming up very, very soon as the Sonic Wave connects onto the Dragon. Now the Rift Trail comes in. It is going to be the Cure of the Drake for Gen.G. As Lucid trying to get on in there. Oh, the pullback! Shinnu finds the angle with the Q. Chovy trying to limp out of there, and he might be able to. The rest of his team, not so lucky as Canyon trying to get to the relative safety of this outer turret, but he gets scattered, and Showmaker takes him down.
Just decimating them in the fight. Even though Gen.G managed to get the Dragon, it's Dplus here cleaning up the kills, forcing them away, and picking off target after target. Chovy limping away on just sliver of HP.
They get the gold lead back. They have a gold lead now in this game. They shrunk it a little bit, then it went down to 2K, and now they have slight advantage here. It does even up at the end of the day, but the gold lead is gone for Gen.G. Xiu with some really incredible plays here in this fight. Has his Q stacked here, gets the double knockback here, forces the flash out of Ruler. Career follows, now the Ziggs is out of the fight. Lucid's looking for a threatening angle, finds Chovy here, but look at this. The second knockback into the scatter. This team is working together like a well-oiled machine. Every aspect of the first part of the setup instantly has the follow-up it needs, and Lucid is able to chase and run down another scattered Canyon.
And it's crazy, it's into Gen.G, the team that we have praised so often for their tight team fighting as a unit, their coordination, their synergy. And Dplus this series has just found the advantages in that regard when it's come down to those big moments.
I think it's so hard to pilot this comp when your CC has to be so set up so well to get that chain. It's not like the previous draft where it's super simple. You hit a shove, the Ambessa goes in. This is Cassante has to stack 3 Qs, get into the right position, and get that pullback to then set up the scatter. They have the Leona to follow, and Dplus are playing it very well as Chovy may be caught here.
Yeah, Lucid going to move up towards this top side, but looks like Chovy getting wind of it will be able to move himself out of the way. And so a little bit of respite for the minute. 400 gold in it between these two squads. Showmaker going to try and grab some of this crystalline overgrowth towards this top side and should have some free time with this outer turret. Xiu down towards the bottom side playing defense, but Keen just eats through these turrets so quickly with his 2,500 gold lead. Duro's going to move in, and Xiu, okay, let's see whether he can get out of this one. Not with a Q like that, unfortunately, as he goes all out, but unfortunately, Duro's got an ultimatum for him, and down he will go. DK traded for the mid-outer turret, though.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that's necessarily worth, but it's something.
She was so ready to be dove, and then they just killed the turret. And didn't even approach hitting him until it was down, and it meant he was unfortunately not able to get out of that situation. But Dplus answered back really well, taking 2 turrets in the top side of the map, and just cutting through these objectives. Keen will get a bit more gold on the bot side. He does have a massive lead right now over the Cassante.
I do think, though, based on what we saw in the last fight, for example, and we've talked about this so much since Cassante's release, behind Cassante is still incredibly relevant. He's going to get so many resistances from that Jack shows as well in a longer team fight, and he is the answer to a lot of shock blasts and poke here. So I like how Dplus have this set up. They keep him on the weak side, and they get more value elsewhere. And that has been the game plan here for the last 10 minutes, really, in this one. So if they could do it long enough and keep fighting well in these big 5v5s, there is a path to victory in this game. You can see the damage here is incredibly high for the poke champions here on the side of Gen.G, but not all of that poke is leading to eliminations.
Yeah, Gen.G also just don't have sustained DPS in that composition. So she will just feel a bit immortal, especially before, Ruler has his pen, has his Rabadons, but their composition is not designed to kill Xiu, and he was such a big presence in that last team fight around Dragon behind.
Oh, this is a bit of a cute one as Chovy does flash his way out of there. Scatter would have connected otherwise. It was a good idea, but now a big cooldown. No longer there for the Akali, as Lucid really does want to kill Chovy in this game.
Lee Sin is so good into Akali. If you could find these angles and get on top of her, and he has just been trying to do it on repeat in this game.
Duro biding his time.
It's just like a standoff.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy.
Oh no, don't.
Oh dear.
It's just a ward, let it go.
Oh dear. Okay, Q doesn't come out. Ruler moves over. There is the Sonic Wave connecting onto Duro. Chovy is going to be there. Canyon shows up, and now Korea could be in trouble. He gets held onto, but not slammed into a wall or anything like that. Stun is good. from that Shield of Daybreak. Has the Eclipse there to eat as much of the damage as he would like.
She is really pushing, and Showmaker is on a flank. Needs to be careful if he interacts with his Camille, though. I don't think he's going to like it very much because there's follow-up here for Gen.G. He's going to have to TP out. I think this is a wise choice.
Yeah, but a little bit unfortunate that he does have to use that cooldown. The Dragon now spawning in 3 seconds, and the Cassante in the top lane. See whether he can actually teleport in to find an angle. There it is, going to join the rest of his teammates. This should just be a 5v5. Can DK actually get this fight started quickly enough, though? Because otherwise this poke will rain down, and then Chovy can just last hit everyone.
They put a controller in the Banana Brush. Not going to be the same sort of outplay opportunity for Shiu this time around, and Gen.G have complete control. That Skarner still got impaled.
Well, Korea dives in, but I don't know whether he really wants to, as the Dragon now going to get forfeit for the moment. There is the Scat of the Week onto Canyon, but he is so incredibly tanky, and Korea down incredibly low. Solar Flare still up and available, though. We'll see where it does go. Shock Blast avoided by DK for the moment. And Chovy still biding his time off to the side. Keen throwing Shock Blast. Gen.G playing it well, keeping them at arm's length as they're taking damage after damage. And Korea, oh man, he's out of the fight now. Scat of the Week goes wide only onto the Drake. And they do just have to back away. The war of attrition won by Gen.G, and they'll grab Soul Point.
The patience and control there from Gen.G, never making it a real fight, just getting the poke and not giving a route in for Dplus here. So hard to push through the likes of this Skarner, who already has that Protoplasm Harness, that Unending Despair, and the slow burn was so successful to get them that third Dragon off the game.
It just didn't give an in to Dplus. They had the controller in the Banana Brush. They just held their ground. Jovi's flank was never punished because he was so far back that they couldn't get on top of him. But if they wanted to be the aggressors, they would have been flanked by him. They wouldn't have been able to lock him down. And Korea has to be the one to actually set that up if Chovy goes through. But he was constantly threatening the front line. And once he got chipped down, Dplus either had to walk away or hard commit and sacrifice him. And they just could not find the right angle. Gen.G with such a phalanx setup there. And now IE is done for Smash here. 3 items on this MF, but doesn't matter if they can't get the team fight set up to use it.
And killing Canyon's going to be really hard this game if they do manage to lock down a Mountain Soul. It'll be kind of ridiculous. Yes, Smash is theoretically an AD carry, but MF is not exactly the poster child for tank killing.
Well, he does have a collector, and that deals percentage HP damage, right? If you're under 5%, it's a really good point.
That's a really good point.
5% is really big for Canyon. It's a big collector.
Has built the best possible item.
The issue, though, is getting him to 5%.
However, if you do, genius. It's fine. Might have a Lord Doms coming through as item number 4, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Lucid just searching for some angles here as Ruler doesn't quite land the water balloon.
We do have the Soreldas for Keen, which is going to be really, really helpful dealing with even 3,000 gold behind this Cassante in front-to-back fights, as the damage throughput is not there, as you mentioned, Ox, earlier on this Gen.G composition, so that's a big item to have. Baron really not on the cards for the side of Dplus, even if they have control with this MF. Even with 3 items, they can't do it quickly, and their turn is shaky at best at this game state.
Oh, Duro possibly in a little bit of trouble here as the Solar Flare gets flashed. Canyon looking to drive his way over as Chovy gets scattered. He ults his way out of there as the backflip is going to be good as well, but now Korea gets lifted up and put back down again. He survives for a decent while, but Canyon will be able to finish him off. There's the Impale as well, and the flash away from Lucid is not quite enough. He does get the kick down, the flash away from the bullet time, and Canyon's going to be safe. Shiu not so lucky as Keen, just does so much damage. And Gen.G, they win the fight, and they get themselves out. Only a couple of kills to come on through, though, and I was kind of expecting that one to be a little bit more than that for Gen.G.
The Canyon is just a brick wall, so hard to deal with, and it's just like you're Leona, who's a tanky champion, but you don't have the same stats as the Skarner, so when you go aggressive, you get shredded down. Canyon's never really under threat, and he's just having such a field day playing into this matchup.
It's almost as if Chovy calculated that the only way to start this fight is to kind of bait them, because he's so confident that he can actually get out of this situation, because they're all now saying, all right, well, I think we go in here, but unfortunately Career went in earlier, didn't have his cooldowns quickly, is just burst down, and Chovy survives. And unfortunately for Dplus, there's just nothing left in this anymore. Had they killed Chovy initially, they could have played the fight a lot slower, but they were of 2 minds. Career's engaged, didn't go well. Chovy goes in, And whether he was intending to or not, gets, he thinks he's going to escape. He is able to escape there, and Dplus has been caught in this position where they don't have buttons anymore. There's a Akali is too slippery, so he didn't even need to flash. And it just feels like Gen.G are running circles around them at this point.
Yeah, Keen especially, man. I feel like this Jace has been so incredibly pivotal. He does have the largest lead in the game, but also in the team fights. He is the DPS. And we were thinking, like, where is the consistent damage going to come from? And I guess maybe a Jace that's sitting on, like, 3.5 items is going to be the one to be able to do it. And he's just tearing them to shreds here in this game. 45 seconds on this Mountain Drake, and that will be soul for Gen.G if they're able to pick it up.
Canyon's already basically unkillable. He actually flashed out of the end of the MF ult, but his protoplasm hadn't kicked in yet. To be honest, he could have just tanked it. But if you give him a Mountain Soul as well, I just think he becomes too much of a brick wall. Neither of these team compositions great at dealing with tanks, but Gen.G at the moment definitely having the edge with how fed Keen is and how tanky Canyon is. So they have to find a way to get in. It's often been Korea leading the charge, and that's just not worked out for them.
TP to come through here from the Jace as the Dragon spawns. There's no flanks. There's no way to wrap around. Look at the ward coverage to the left of the pit, to the right of the pit here.
Oh dear, Chovy finds a backflip onto Shiu. He takes too much damage. There is the perfect execution. And it was the perfect play to make sure that they have the man advantage for this Dragon, the pivotal Mountain Soul to come through from Gen.G. And man, they have a stranglehold on this game now. 3,000 gold the advantage. Dplus, I mean, they want to go for a last-ditch effort. They want to try and deny this Soul that will make the game so hard. Gen.G just going to say, absolutely not. There's the perfect smite from Canyon, and they will lock that one down. Next Dragon going to be an Elder in 6 minutes.
They're just going straight up towards Baron, too. They're going to push Dplus away. They're going to get back control. He had so much vision control over that Dragon. There wasn't a flank angle for Lucia to play through. There wasn't a way for Showmaker to look for a prio target. And Shiu, if he wasn't 4,000 gold behind, might have been able to last long enough to let Dplus make a play there, but they just killed him so fast.
Oh, but guys, you gotta be careful.
Okay.
It's the Hunting Baron.
Aha!
The one that does all the damage. So they can't just start it up without any chance of recourse. Gotta be careful of that one. We've been learning all about the different Baron types recently.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that we have you here to tell us which Baron it's going to be every single game, because it's very, very important to understand what you're dealing with in that Baron pit. I thought it was going to be Baron, but it could be Baron or Baron or Baron that you could be up against.
In some senses, you could call this unlucky for Shiu because he's trying to push the sandwich while that TP is coming through, and he ends up being the one that's sandwiched and caught there.
What kind of sandwich was it?
It's the coverage. I think it was probably roast beef. But it's the coverage that they had there that allows that play to happen, and the desperation there from Shiu looking for that flank angle in the first place is why he ends up getting caught. This game has really just been, it hasn't been that bloody, right? It's 6 kills to 9 here. Gen.G the favor with 3,000 gold, but they have the soul. And their comp, we've talked about it since the draft. Double Lift agreed, Yankos agreed. It just has so much more in it. And so even though this isn't the 10,000 gold lead we had from Dplus in game 1, it feels almost in some ways worse. There's just no way to crack the Mountain Soul here that Gen.G have. And so it's just one of these slow burns where there's less kills because Dplus know they can't kill anybody, they can't find any picks, they can't flank anybody. It's a slow Gen.G macro game that Dplus are getting ground out of very quickly.
This is sort of their bread and butter, right? Go back to the sandwich analogy just a little bit. There's a scatter onto Canyon, but I don't think it's named correctly when this Skarner is pretty much impossible to move.
That health bar just looks monstrous right now.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting a little shield thrown back on top of it
over
and over again.
At them, and he's part of the poke too.
Doesn't actually find Showmaker with that one, but he's able to drive his way over. There is a scatter onto him once again. Oh,
did he take damage? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. Drew's still out, but I'm pretty sure that we can confirm that it's no. Smash going to catch that wave, as there is a bit of a battle on the bottom side of the Baron. And there is that Baron that you were talking about, Canyon, beware of the hunting Baron. But I think Canyon is hunting the Baron himself.
Even the hunting Baron's not enough for Canyon.
Yeah, no. Lucid coming on over, though. Let's see who's going to be able to get this smite. Maybe this is the way the DK can get them back into it, as Smash trying to have a good position here in this fight. Xiu gets on in there, does have the all-out to try and create some angles, pulls them over as Keen. He should be the target, and he is going to get taken down. The shutdown goes over to Showmaker as they have the man advantage in the fight. Hextech ultimatum, the scat of the week is so good, and Showmaker is able to keep himself alive. Smash now is going to fall. Canyon now going to have that health bar truly tested. There's the resonating strike, and the shutdown goes to Dplus Kia. How are they doing it as Ruler is there, still has a lot of damage, and Chovy might be able to finish them off, but Lucid's in there with the smite, and they should be able to take the Baron. Gentlemen, how did Dplus do that?
Their team fighting has been so crisp. The target selection, finding Keen in the offset. So many times they've struggled in these fights because of that brick wall that is Skarner. Will they circumvent him and they find that Jace?
Look at the angle. They're all focused on even Showmaker. The immediate follow-up solar flare. Keen flashes out. He is able to find that tiny window, but it's too late. Too much damage has been done here. And they go on to smash, but they can't kill him quickly enough. And at this point, Canyon's health bar is already whittled down, and there's just no damage throughput here. You've got an Akali, you've got a Ziggs, and you're just not going to be able to get it done against this huge Lee Sin.
I mean, the Jace had so much of that gold, so much of their damage. Even after that fight, still 2,800 ahead, and just wiping him off at the start of the fight with that sick angle from Lucid made all the difference.
Everybody was so focused. You could see Showmaker was heading in that direction. Career was ready with the solar flare. This is the kind of coordination a lot of Dplus fans have been asking for years, by the way.
Yeah.
In team fights, especially objective team fights in the late game, that Dplus has been missing since they won the World Championship, and maybe it's finally starting to come together.
And that was 6 years ago. 2020 was a very, very long time, and they were favorites in 2021 as well, but EDG pipped them at the post, and since then, they have not been the same organization. And we got into the T1 era in 2023, and it was all kind of a wash from there. DRX happened at some point. I don't know why we're doing a history lesson, but Dplus now showing us that they can actually win fights. And with the Soul going over to Gen.G, it means that in 45 seconds time, it's a fight for the Elder.
And this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, when a team is far ahead and has control of the game, you never want to flip the Elder because it puts so much variance into the game. But the game is so close, so it may just end up being that flip. That being said, especially Dplus Kia, if they just keep the Elder healthy for a while, it allows Gen.G to poke them down. So they may want to just rush it.
Mountain Soul here is so valuable for Gen.G. They have the comp that we all agree is better, but what they don't have towards Baron right now, even slightly, is Prio or Control. So this means Dplus can actually, for the first time, put Lucid on a big flank angle. They have Syndra to set up picks. It's very difficult for Gen.G to approach. They need to be very careful as to how they play this, because if they mess this up, they may just find themselves in that third place match tomorrow.
Up against T1 as well. It's a dangerous opponent. Try and lock down that third place. Showmaker with that blast going, looking for the scatter angle as Xiu trying to place himself there as a target. Chovy goes into the Shroud. The rest of Dplus now ready for a fight, as you can see. Xiu taking so much damage though, and Dplus need to start this one as soon as they possibly can. Lucid not able to get in there for a kickback. And still just hunting with these Sonic Waves. Dplus can move back towards Fog of War now, but the Shock Blast is so incredibly dangerous. Lucid safeguarding forward. There's Canyon getting pulled back to Scatter the Weak, not going to quite connect there. And they are slowly but surely locking them down. There is a decent impale, but into the backline goes Korea. Keen just locks him down the bullet time, trying to get rid of Ruler as a kickback onto Chovy to get him away from the carries. But Gen.G have taken down one. Hookshot takes Duro into the backline, but he might be too deep. They've taken out Smash though. Scatter comes in. Force of will from Showmaker to take that one down. But Xiu is so incredibly low in this back line, and Keen will force that flash to get him out of there.
Gen.G winning the fight, and they are in so much control right now. Now Lucid is still alive here, which makes taking this Elder a little bit of a dangerous call to make. Showmaker going to go for the safe TP here to the turret. We're going to see that back from Xiu. He will come as well, but Gen.G, they do have control. Full health Keen coming in as well right now, and we are going to see if Lucid can find a way to steal.
Well, he gets spotted out here as well. As the Elder Dragon down to 9,000. Showmaker moving over. Is Chovy going to get kicked back? There's the scatter. He goes golden though, but Showmaker held onto the ultimate there for a moment, but it's not going to quite be enough. There is the Elder taken by Gen.G. Lucid burning down, and the impale from Showmaker. Betrayal from his former jungler, and Canyon going to be able to pick him up and give him his first death of the game.
The approach there from Gen.G, the control, picking the targets one at a time, able to get the advantage in the fight. It still felt delicate, but the control was there, and now the Elder is true. And against this Pope comp with the Elder, it's going to be so hard to block.
It's so unreal how powerful the Siege is with a Jace this big, almost full build here at 36 minutes. Duro played that fight so well. He interrupted Lucid's engage. He killed Smash in the fight with a follow-up ultimate, and Gen.G are looking to take us to 3 on the push.
Let's see whether they can do it, as now trying to deal with this Elder Dragon is so hard. Canyon just picks up Lucid, throws him back. He does get a kick, but it's not quite enough. And they are still at such high health bars with this Mountain Soul. Down to the Guardian Angel, but that Guardian Angel unable to do anything for Lucid, as at least Smash has a health bar here, but they only have one Nexus turret left available. In goes Duro to try and find the angle. He gets taken out, but so does Showmaker. Smash trying to get the damage throughput though, and is able to take out Chovy. You can see there with the bullet time, not quite able to do enough damage, but Gen.G is still going to get pushed out of the base.
And they hold on for the time being. There's a minute left on the Elder, and with these long respawn timers, Gen.G might be able to reset and go towards the Baron, but they didn't take their opportunity, didn't get the chance to end the game there and then, so at least for now, Dplus have a second chance.
They gotta be careful though.
Yeah, good reactions there from Shia to avoid that shock blast as Canyon drives on over, but he is going to get interrupted. Nicely done. Korea now still with that Solar Flare
Baron
available.
Yeah, you need to force this Baron while the Elder's still there, and you have that major edge.
And Smash and crew need to get over here as soon as possible to try to deny this. If they let the Baron go, they already lost their inhibitor. They're not going to be able to get this. We're going back to this fight here. Really, really critical one. Lucid here on the side trying to find an angle. Watch Duro keeping Lucid at bay so he cannot actually access the fight. Shuts him down. He cannot get to those backline carries. He cannot get to Ruler. He pivots over here, gets the kick onto Chovy, but the fight is lost. The support is down.
And
here gets on top of Smash. Duro did so much in this fight. He basically turned it into a 5v3 by keeping the Lee Sin out and killing the AD carry.
And then here, Chovy, this was a delicate position, but buys time. The rest of the team just hitting the Elder. As soon as the Elder's secured, Dplus just can't do anything. The tip of the impale just grabs him as he tries to rocket belt away.
That was absolutely absurd from Canyon. Not only do they lock down the Dragon, but they also manage to secure the kill onto Showmaker. And now, Baron has been secured as well. Gen.G now with the base open in the mid lane. They're looking to lock down the last remaining turrets, just make it impossible for Dplus to defend. Smash still so important for this squad. Does have his Guardian Angel now completed.
Duro's just been playing with Lucid on the flanks, constantly just being annoying, and Lucid can't really do anything to him.
Oh man, this poke on the Smash is kind of ridiculous. He cannot actually get to minions in order to get his health bar back with his Bloodthirster either. Now finally has a wave moving in. But Gen.G with a whole bunch of space, and 2 of these siege minions just blowing up the turret. There's the satchel for the execute. And this inhibitor should not be defended by DK.
Nexus turret will respawn, but that's the only good news here for Dplus. Second inhibitor down. The first is still down for 2 more minutes. And that's when the Elder spawns. They have so much control, but they may just end this game right now if they can find the angle.
Yeah, looking to continue pushing this one forward. That Baron's still running, and 3 siege minions now. They called their friends. Another one going to join.
Oh, and a super minion coming up mid.
Yeah, this is just getting too much for Dplus.
They might just have to use Smash to try to clear the wave.
And that is not what they want to use that bullet time for. There is the all-out, though. The Impale is going to be avoided. Hextech ultimatum from Duro into the backline, but there is no follow-up for it. They do get the Camille. Chovy goes golden. The base is now exposed as Chovy gets himself out of the way. There's a killing spree for Kino. He's at full health, and he can 3-hit this Nexus if he gets close enough. The scatter is good onto Keen, but Chovy finds Xiu. Xiu's still pretty tanky. The flash out of the way from to the skies as he goes down to the Guardian Angel, and Gen.G will tie up the series. The title defenders here from EWC 2025 are 1 game away from defending it. against KC.
And this was a game where Gen.G tried to slow it down, play a controlled manner. There was that moment where Dplus Kia made them struggle. But
The first team to go back-to-back for League of Legends. Easy win!
Easy win, back to the game, let's see if it's right.
I absolutely love that response, and yes, I imagine that Dplus Kia certainly have a little bit of fire in their bellies moving into this game number 3. And we are there, onto the Rift, and we'll see whether this composition is going to work out. I actually believe that these drafts are a whole lot closer and a little bit teetering towards the Dplus Kia direction as well, and we'll see whether the play is going to reflect that.
I think this draft is really volatile for Dplus, even though I favor it. Just simply because if it doesn't get ahead, if it doesn't actually find those early leads, the draft does become a lot simpler to play for Gen.G, and the Senna gets a free early game from ahead to then scale up and start to outrange. And it makes it really hard for example, the Aatrox and the Jarvan to come in and punish.
to me, I think Shu, if you can get a lead here on the Aatrox, you're playing into 4 melee champions at a Senna who's not going to offer the most DPS with the nerfs that she had. So you can just thrive and survive in these team fights. You'll get a lot done, but if you fall behind an Aatrox, you kind of just die before any of that really happens.
Yeah, you're mentioning the power of the Aatrox, but also I think that this Lucian is going to be pretty problematic if Ruler is not going to be in a position where he can threaten a fair bit of damage, as you were saying before, just because with low range comes, you know, a lot of advantages that you can pick up with a champion like the Lucian, whose range has generally been the bigger problem.
This is a pretty
necessarily into this comp.
It's a pretty unique pick of the Aatrox in this matchup. It suits the Bruiser, or not the Bruiser, but the Brawly early game nature of how Dplus want to get online. Typically, we don't see very often these days, and we have so many iconic Aatrox players in our region, champions of the Worlds tournament that have played it very well.
Yep.
And Shiu is not one of them. It's a little bit surprising to see him pull out, but I think it's an evolution of his career and of his confidence that he thinks he can go toe-to-toe with Keen, of all players here in this matchup in the Rumble, and he's picked up an early lead here. Not even opting for that Comet we sometimes see in the Aatrox into Rumble matchup to just add some additional poke. He's actually leading the charge right now quite significantly in that top lane.
Yeah, and homework has been done here by Gen.G. They spot that the Jarvan went over and picked off their red buff, their blue buff, and now Canyon immediately going over towards the enemy blue to make sure that one does happen as Smash going to get exhausted here as Duro going in aggressively. There's a decent anchor going to connect onto Korea, but he is there to keep Smash safe as they do back away. But Canyon moving on down. Dplus getting wind of it, understanding that that might be a bit of a danger here, and Korea is going to confirm it.
Yeah, actually got the wind before the lightning.
Ah, yeah.
Definitely felt like a it's quiet, too quiet kind of moment.
Yeah, a little bit.
That push up there, that's often exactly what happens in lanes like this where a push comes through, is that level 3 gank will catch you. But they are able to realize it, know the timing, and back away just in time.
Yeah, the wave also did a decent spot just to bounce back towards them and be comfortable now. TP's committed, actually TP committed by Shu. Keen hasn't gone for a TP himself yet. Yeah, so it's not the end of the world if he takes a bad trade.
Yeah, he did grab the No Magic Mantle, which will help him a lot in this matchup, but doesn't want to, like you say, be trading really anything if he can help it.
He is Aatrox, will be able to heal up just a little bit, but does want things like the Sundered Sky before he's really happy about that. Shobi now moving back towards this mid lane once again on that melee matchup, not having the greatest time in the very early stages, but should be fine moving forward, and he is not necessarily expected to be massively lane dominant, going to be used a lot for those stuns later on in the game. As Gen.G, they move Canyon down towards his bottom side, he is looking for his Krugs before anything else. As Smash,
grabbed
a little careful.
So did Ruler, but this is going to be a really nice spike once that finishes in the mid game, right when Dplus want to be getting into the early scraps on Second Dragon, on Herald. Those are the really big ones for this comp. They want to dominate, they need to have leads on so that they force Gen.G into uncomfortable fights. If Gen.G get even one of those first 2 dragons, it means the Senna can just buy time and avoid fighting and continue to scale and get additional range.
Keen doing pretty decently here towards his top side, even though that trade didn't necessarily go his way. He now teleports back with some Swifties in hand, and breaking the Infernal Chains becomes so much easier with those shoes. Just don't tell Huni about it. Very upset.
That's the thing, is that Aatrox is a skill shot based champion, even if you don't think about it often that way, but if you have the extra movement speed, mobility can really help in terms of avoiding those sweet spots and keeping safe. we've consistently seen Dplus Kia's bot lane have pressure in the 2v2, but Ruler's been able to keep even in farm. Has 11 souls, you know, over halfway to 20, and well before 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, very nicely done. Definitely on track to beat what you were talking about prior.
Canyon spent a lot of time trying to find angles here in this early game against these losing lanes, right? They have 3 losing lanes, and so Canyon tried to patch the holes, but didn't find any ganks. You can see Lucid is massively ahead in farm as a result of that, and he's going to be able to pick up this first dragon, which is a Chemtech dragon, so chances are starting to look good that we'll have another impactful soul here in this third and final game. But it's you know, we have 3 winning lanes, and now, obviously, as Rumble starts to get online, does have the Swifties gets a little bit easier. The gold lead is starting to stack up a little bit here. The jungle control is there, and Gen.G are just going to have to weather the storm.
Well, there is that first dragon going down, picked up here by the Jarvan. We're looking for a reset towards the bottom side of the map as well. See how Dplus are looking towards a potential grub fight in 2 minutes' time or something like that, but otherwise, I think things are going to be a little bit quiet for the immediate future.
That first Chovy Tibbers.
There it is. Throw that bear down.
It's so annoying laning into Annie. Just as soon as you're level 6, just bear thrown on your head.
And Chovy's bear isn't really going to make the same impact.
No. You could like hit the abduct abscond chain, you know, as you land the bear to give it the vibe that it's the same.
Yeah.
But you do need to hit the skill shot in order to make that one work. Showmaker going to send the Tibbers away, and there it is! The Tibbers battle. They should actually have like a Pokemon battle here in the mid lane. Make the Tibbers fight each other. Come on, guys. They're just fighting it. That's not how the Pokemon battle works. It's not the trainer taking on the... Okay, never mind.
It's a new take on it, honestly. I've not seen it. Okay, it just seems like a good strategy because...
Yeah.
The
like
trainers
game.
The trainers do seem a lot easier to take out than
yeah.
Pokemon.
Well, the other thing about dropping a bear onto Annie as Silas is this. Annie also gets the gold back too, you know?
Everyone gets the extra 50 gold. All right, Lucid just going to take Canyon's red buff away, right under his nose. As Canyon
Lucid is
cancel his
Lucid is just running this early game. He has full control. He has 350 gold up for the 20 CS he has, several camps ahead.
I swear, Canyon is the best at using that Yu-Gi-Oh mode, by the way. He is so good at it.
But it's a sizable lead in the mid and in the jungle right now for Dplus Kia. Even bot lane has a bit of CS lead as well, so it's nothing crazy so far, but just starting to build up an advantage in this game.
Yeah, Control Ward I think is going to be found here by Lucid around his red buff, but should be able to steal away the enemy one and grab a new one here, as that's a lot of damage onto Duro. Does find the wall as the Aftershock is going to wear off. There is the culling. Duro is able to walk it off, at least for the moment. Doesn't have to use the flash, but did have to invest the heal for the movement speed in order to get out of the way.
Now, Jarvan is topside. Lucid isn't going to be able to set up a dive while the Nautilus is away here, so we'll be fine. Yeah, that does hit quite heavily. He's just got a Warhammer and a Cull in his inventory.
And a Darn's Bow.
Yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of extra something.
And a potion.
Snare comes down onto Smash. He does need to be a little bit careful. Might need to drink said potion there, Wolf, perhaps. As there is a plate going over to Keen, and the teleport will bring the Aatrox back towards that top side of the map. About a wave in advantage here for Sheer right now, but the Grubs are going to be picked up by Gen.G, and that is going to help them in these side lanes. Silas and Rumble pretty happy to get waves shoved in and try and do some damage to some turrets, especially the Silas in this particular game. So grabbing those 3 Grubs is going to be very, very important.
Absolutely.
Be able to do so.
In 2 minutes' time, we'll have that dragon set up. And unless something goes really wrong for Dplus, they should be able to maintain prio and secure it. And that's when things start to get more interesting, is what happens on next dragon in 6 minutes' time when the Herald goes. The fact that nothing has happened, that nothing has happened, but no kills have happened, no team fights or real big skirmishes have happened, is exactly how Gen.G like it in this game.
Oh yeah.
Sit back, survive this early game, and playing it slow like they did in the previous game is exactly what they want.
Yeah, let the center scale up. And so far, so good on that front. 17 stacks, approaching the 10-minute mark.
Closing on that 20 mark.
Yeah, going to be getting there. Needs 3 to go. He's got, what, like 11 minutes to do it? I believe in him.
think he has enough time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Seen the early Oblivion Orb pickup from Keen, and there's so much healing on both teams. Healing, shielding across the lineup.
Lucid
looking.
Yeah, Cataclysm going to be picked up here by Chovy as Lucid gets himself out of there, realizing that if he's put in the cage, it's going to be a little bit of a rough time.
That was flash committed by Showmaker there, so big tool to be unavailable going into that Dragon fight in 45 seconds. Chovy has TP, so he's going to be able to reset at some point, get back with full mana. But Showmaker not having the flash not only means he doesn't have that playmaking tool, but more of a target as well.
And with this reset timing here too, Dplus are going to have to rush back over. They might get that control back. They should be able to do so. They have vision in the pit with control ward as well as the crab controlled. And the entry from mid is also warded. We have a lot of information. And they're going to look to get that prio and secure this dragon. It's up to Gen.G to decide what they want to do, either make a topside play, which is looking a little more likely, or contest dragon. So looking for that equalizer drop here to poke. Chovy's coming over, still has that Cataclysm, mind you, and this is a very important ward for Shu.
Yeah, there's the flash Cataclysm. Shu immediately flashes away from it. So that ward, bit of an exchange, and yeah, that ward giving him a little heads up certainly helps him get out of the shop and able to escape. Still, getting the flash down and also giving Keen some time with this outer turret is a big deal.
Now, Lucid is getting the dragon, of course. That was the opt-in. They went for their top side. Because they know they likely can't win the dragon fight, but the jungler is doing said dragon and make that top side play. But because Shu is able to react so quickly there, they don't get the kill. They will get plate money, which is still valuable.
Yeah, so this dragon going to be secured by the Jarvan. We have the bottom lane moving towards that turret as well. One stack left on that cull here for Smash, who is going to be very, very powerful, moving up to about a 600 gold advantage until Ruler cashes in his.
First brick.
Yeah, the grubs in Gen.G's hands, and also just like the attack speed from the passive from Rumble, the autos from the Xin Zhao, giving them the big edge when it came to taking down that tower. Still down in gold overall.
Ruler losing a lot of farm there because, you know, they see that dragon kill feed announcement and they're like, you know, I don't think I really want to try to get to that turret. They let that wave go by the wayside and do eventually get over here, but very close. Smash has his Essence Reaver. They have the 2 dragons start. It's Ocean Soul, which is great for Gen.G, but it's not something more significant, as I don't know about this, Lucid.
Yeah, he's going to get knocked up, and now Keen is going to move in towards this bottom side. They do get the Blast Cone out. It's an Ocean Soul this game as well. A lot of extra brushes here on the Rift, but not exactly the most optimal dragon. But it does mean that these Oblivion Orbs, the Mortal Reminders, are going to really need to come out from everyone who can buy one.
A lot of healing already, only going to be amplified now. Keen had top lane pushed pretty deeply, so he's trying to make use of the time because Q is just catching up, farming by his lonesome, and Keen hasn't really been able to achieve too much other than that flash they got from Lucid, and now just has to head up to the top lane.
What's really scary for Gen.G now is everything has gone, for the most part, according to plan. It's a very late first blood in this game. I mean, it's getting later by the second. We have this turret survives. They got the top turret. You know, they're very stabilized in terms of early game. But now Ruler's got to go to the mid lane. And now he's got to be careful about potential ganks, as we're going to see a commitment here.
Yeah, they're actually going to activate that Aftershock quite nicely. Goes down to 50% regardless. Still Smash in a little bit of a rough time. Korea can keep him alive, at least for the moment. Still holding on to the heal, but looking a little worse for wear. Good trade for Gen.G.
Ruler just not doing that much damage. Keen, though, doing a bit more. Yeah, it just felt like even with the CC laid on a Smash, there just wasn't that much follow-up from the center to really cut through, especially with the healing being there from Korea, having that Echoes of Helia.
He has caught up a lot in CS, Ruler has. He was a lot more behind till that moment. Will have his cull in 4 minions time. Is stacking up a little bit, sitting at 26 currently. About halfway to relevance in this game. And I think when you look at the mid lane where he's about to head, right, he needs to be very careful. There needs to be defensive vision. This Jarvan can engage from so far away, even when this turret is up, and this is where he is most vulnerable. And if they lose this turret, this is why Herald is so important. If they lose this turret, it becomes incredibly difficult for the center to farm into this Lucian comp of Dplus. So this is where things get a little tricky.
And this is where Lucian has always shined, whether it was Lucian Nami back in the day or Lucian Milio, is playing for that mid-cryo. You're trying to walk up and contest the wave, he can just dash on you, unload a combo, chunk you out, and Senna at least has the assistance from the Shiv wave clear, but it's still not a comfortable position to be in.
You got Chovy moving up this river right now, was actually the one matching Shiu there towards the bottom side of the map. You've got Showmaker dealing with the Rumble, and Smash wanting to play aggressively, as you can see, moving towards Ruler here. He slinks into the mist for the moment. We do check in with this Aatrox, but Chovy, anytime he moves into the Fog of War, you have to be a little bit frightened as to what could come in as a result. So Dplus playing defensively.
A lot of money on Keen. He itemized defensively, has that Oblivion Orb, has Prio for topside. Could be a big deal. His career.
Yeah, needs to be very, very careful. Does get the fire kick, but the root does come on down. Needs to use the ulti to keep himself safe. There's the combo. Out of Duro. Lucid tries to throw down the Cataclysm, but finally First Blood comes in at 15 minutes, and it goes to Canyon.
Really beautiful combo from Duro there. Knows Lucid has no flash. CC layers and interrupts the flag and drag. Doesn't give him a chance to get away. Decisive play, nets Gen.G First Blood.
This turret's still up. I don't think Showmaker can make anything of this, even with his flash back up here. They should be able to get the turret with this wave, but it's at such a heavy cost. They got that kill, but most importantly, the Herald goes over. That means your turret in the mid lane is not under threat of getting killed by a charge here. It means you can use this turret to potentially contest this soul point here on Dragon. And this initially looks like, okay, maybe Cannon's overstepped. He has to use his Crescent Guard. So much damage comes through, but it's the play here from Duro. The flash insta-Aries in melee range just doesn't give Lucid any outplay opportunity. And Herald goes over in the post of that fight. And Gen.G are now in such a comfortable position here.
Yeah, and they are always the ones that can breathe easy if things are just moving forward, right? As the center begins to stack things up, she's going to have such a range advantage as this game goes on. Currently 38 stacks as well, and so getting more and more of that range and damage. Feeling much, much better. The Static Shiv is done. Looks like he's going for the Black Cleaver build as well. We've seen some players forego the Black Cleaver in this one, but not deciding to do so this time around, as that interaction was nerfed somewhat.
Showmaker could try to collapse here, but Gen.G's format, well, not format, their formation is very good.
Well, there's a teleport in from Shiu. There's now Chovy looking to try and stop Showmaker from making his way over, but this Annie does want to get on top of multiple members. The equalizer not exactly fantastic, as Keen has to flash away. It will be the Dragon going over to Gen.G, but can they keep themselves alive? That is the question, as Chovy hunting for Showmaker in the backline. The rest of DK wanting to follow up. The bear goes down, another bear goes down. Duro's the one in trouble though, and Smash should be able to pick this one up. There is that kill. Over the wall goes Lucid, and that keeps him safe. But a one for a Dragon is not exactly optimal here for DK, as they're unable to get that soul point.
They wanted so much more there. They know this game is slipping away from them a little bit here in terms of the hourglass ticking, because this Senna is getting more and more relevant. The Cataclysm there from Lucid caught two, but the follow-up just wasn't in range. They got a few flashes here out of Gen.G. They got Keens, they got Canyons, they got the kill onto Duro, but I don't think that alone is enough here for Dplus to feel good about that play.
Especially with the position Smash is in. Keen didn't get a huge amount of value here with the equalizer. Smash had his 2-item spike. He had the Essence Reaver and the Navori. He wants to be able to push forward and challenge, but they're just kiting away slowly. And even though in the end they do get that one kill, Duro manages to buy so much time with the ultimate, forces Smash to chase him over here, and he's now to follow in on the rest of the fight where they've already disengaged.
Well, now back into some normalcy, and the beautiful thing about this is the fact that that one kill just evens up the kill score. The Dragon moves us back towards Drake parity as well, with the third one going towards Gen.G. This could not be closer, as the teleport does come down. They're looking for Keen, who does not have a flash up and available. Showmaker just walks his way forward with that Molten Shield, and he doesn't really worry too much about that red carpet. He just takes out the Yordle in a mech. And let's see what the cross map is going to be from Gen.G.
They already have this top turret, and Chovy can't get onto this inner because the Jarvan is nearby, and there's Prio in mid here for Dplus. I think there's a really good opportunity seized by Dplus to just use that TP, knowing that there isn't really heavy cost of the Sylas pushing topside there with the control they have elsewhere on the map. So really nice pinch puts Dplus back into the gold lead here.
Yeah, nicely done, but you can see it's a bit of a heart monitor there towards the bottom side of the screen. No one really pulling out to a very large lead in this game on either side. You have to remember that scaling that we were talking about before, the center getting stronger and stronger. It is good for Gen.G, but I don't think that Dplus have necessarily hit that power spike just yet, as Chovy, is barely unable to grab Shiu. Smash probably wanting 3 items before Dplus are really feeling strong.
Yeah, and even with the late game scaling, Senna, you are playing into a Jarvan Annie composition, so you have to position well. You do have to play the late game well. You don't just win by default if you get that extra range, but it makes it so much easier, and that's the real thing here that Ruler is trying to play around right now. As you can already start to feel, as he's getting closer to that second item, that he's ready to actually start autoing the enemy champions.
Yeah. Smash is going to need some warm hugs if he's going to be okay here. As Shiu, possibly in trouble, doesn't get hit by those chains, but Canyon is booking it towards this Aatrox on the bottom side of the map. Does get that World Ender out as Chovy steals one away himself. The rest of Gen.G trying to chase the remainder of Dplus gear back towards this mid lane, as there is Showmaker and Keen battling it out on the top side of the map. That is a fantastic Cataclysm. Puts Ruler and Canyon in a little bit of a cage, but where is the follow-up? That is the question. Keen, he comes down to stop Smash from culling and stopping Lucid from escaping. That is going to be the kill under the Jarvan, and Gen.G even it out once more.
I just don't understand the thought process there, because you didn't have the backup from your team. It's like you wanted to hold them still, but it just gets locked down next to them. This gives such a good opportunity to use his Herald. It's up to Smash and Clear to try and defend. Now, they do have Showmaker coming down to help them out, but that mid tower took so much damage.
Now, luckily, they are able to keep the turret alive, and if Dplus could make some sort of counter push and get this enemy mid turret here in the mid lane, it would feel huge for them, but they use so many tools. Showmaker, though, finds Keen again.
Drops a bear on him, and that is going to be Showmaker picking up the kill onto the Rumble. That is 2 deaths for Keen.
That could actually be, now Gen.G have to spend Chovy's TP here. It could have been an angle to potentially get that turret. Looks like it's not going to happen. This is going to be cleared away. Chovy did have that teleport. But I'm with you on that Jarvan call, Ox, because there's no follow-up there. It's an angle where he's going to hit 2, and he hits the immediate push away and get double knockup. There's just no follow-up damage, so he lost some critical tools there. A bit puzzling on that one, and now Gen.G pushing this wave through. The Dragon spawns here in 30 seconds would be their second of the game to even us up 2-2, and right now they have Prio. They have the setup for Ruler.
Yeah, they have control despite the fact that Keen isn't even alive yet and doesn't have TP. They are making use of Shiwu, pushing in the side lane, should get this tower, but it just shows the control Gen.G have right now of the river, that even with a player not on the map, they still feel confident to press forward.
Yeah, that is really nice from Shiu, though, able to take down that turret. Mortal Reminder is completed, 3rd item here for Smash as well. Very much respect that decision, especially as these Ocean Dragons start to get stacked up. Gen.G have been pretty good at getting into position for those.
So
next one available now.
And Senna, as you're saying, really desperately want to get this mid turret off the map. Would make Ruler's life so much more difficult. Would give so much more agency to Lucid. They have a big cannon wave here, and I think with this Crystalline Overgrowth, they should get it. Equalizer trying to defend it. They're trying to turn.
Yeah, they do manage to get the turret, as now Keen looks for the Harpoon, doesn't get it there onto Smash, but he has to be careful. The rest of Gen.G are chasing him down. The Tibbers from the sky! And Smash now finds the culling. Duro taking so much damage, he'll be taken out. It's a double for Smash as Canyon gets on in there. He takes down Emilio, but that is not enough to bring back the fight in favor of Gen.G.
What a disaster for Gen.G. Duro looks for the flash ult, but they don't have the follow-up. And then the Tibbers comes through, and Gen.G were so split on the chase.
It feels like they all knew what they wanted to do. Unfortunately, they forgot to take into account that there's a girl with a bear that was going to come down on top of their head.
Yeah, a little bit of tunnel vision, I think, in that situation. And Showmakers found those picks onto Keen earlier that got them a lot of pressure. But this Tibbers came up huge, Smash cutting away, buying as much time as possible. Duro flash ults him, he flashes out, and then here, the triple stun from Showmaker completely turns that fight in their favor.
And then Canyon gets on top of Smash and has to redirect to the Emilio, knowing he doesn't have the damage, he needs more time. And Chovy was so late to the play, he couldn't impact it at all. He just had to watch as the rest of his team was obliterated. A double for the Jarvan, a double for the Lucian, and suddenly Dplus in so much control.
Gen.G was looking for an angle, not quite able to get there, but this is going to be that second dragon available for Gen.G. Shiu on a flank angle. The rest of Dplus moving on over as Keen does manage to find the Aatrox. Duro gets in there with the CC. Chovy looking to lock him down. The World Ender comes on through. The Aatrox does fall. The Cataclysm's fantastic though. It's a double for Smash already, who's kiting around on the outside of the fight. Looking for Canyon now. He gets that extra range from the Emilio, and Canyon just has to run. There's the dash for the Arnhem Blaze. doesn't pick up the kill. He didn't even need it. It's now Ruler running the wrong direction. It's going to be Soul Point, and it's going to be all the kills here for Dplus Kia, who may have just booked themselves a ticket to face off against KC in the final of EWC 2026.
And Smash is just skating around these fights. 6-0 for 3,000 gold lead over Ruler, and he's decimating Gen.G in this game.
Absolute back-to-back errors in the fights here for Gen.G as well. They want to take the fight to the left of the pit. They want to set up the equalizer and the choke, and it is a high-value equalizer, but they leave Ruler alone out to dry on the right side of the fight. All starts off with this catch on the shield, but he's an Aatrox who's got Sundered Sky. He's level 16. It takes so long. Look at where Ruler is on the right side. He can offer an ult and a few autos, but that is it. As you said, off Smash on the other side of the fight, completely uncontested. No one can touch him. And Ruler, like Chovy in the previous disaster, can only watch until he's the next one to meet his demise.
And they chase him down, and they pick up the kill. Now Dplus in an incredible position. It is not over just yet, but it really did feel like that was the beginning of the backbreaking here. And imagine it. The Cinderella story has already happened today. KC have already done it. If Dplus Kia managed to do another one afterwards, it would just be ridiculous. That might be what we're witnessing here. Still, Gen.G are a terrifying team, and we remember game number 1 of this very series. They managed to pull back for a large portion of that game, and now she was in a lot of trouble, wanting to get that Umbral Dash to get over this wall. The healing is kind of ridiculous, but it's not enough to keep him alive. Still, Dplus should be able to put a dent into this inner turret, but now they don't have their Aatrox for the next little while. Yeah,
it's a good move from Gen.G when they're making that siege to get a pick. Really just kills any momentum for the side of Dplus Kia. It's not going to drastically change the position of the game, but it buys you a bit more time. Right now, Ruler on the stack check, he's at 66, and this is the problem with the center that got changed, is that you're just never hitting the same numbers that you used to. You're not getting that same level of range that you would with the old center back in the days. You get like 120 at 30 minutes. Takes a lot longer to come online.
Oh, there's that power spike. It's a little bit of lag there on that one, as that was his first item, but he's got 4.
He's got IE.
It was the right time for the power spike to come in, because the Infinity Edge is now done, and Smash, like, this is the strongest he's going to be this game.
Oh, absolutely.
He is absolutely absurdly powerful.
And he is running this game. Saw that the damage numbers were much higher than Ruler's, but the point is fairly low for Smash, even because he's only done damage in those really critical moments, and that he's been able to turn every damage he puts out into these critical 6 kills. He has half of his teams right now. You can see he is sitting on a ton of gold. He is massively fed, and Gen.G just can't step up with him with anybody right now. Not even Canyon can really walk up to this guy at this point.
Yeah, his short range, especially when you're playing into Nautilus, into Rumble, into Zinzao, it's really difficult, and it puts a lot of burden on you, especially when you're relying on the Milio W to be up. But the damage when he does find access is massive. He's been so patient with finding those windows.
Not to mention he's also got Swifties, which I think is a really smart idea into all of the slows from this center that are going to be raining down. Equalizer used in desperation just to get them away from this inner turret. Does give Chovy some time on that top side. Yeah, Smash Ban here in the arena. And you could imagine some smiles on the faces of the Smash fans here in Paris as well. I mean, as he's had such a good showing so far today.
This is a game that is not finished. It's a 4,000 gold lead at 28 minutes. There are angles back into this game. Gen.G have great scaling, but I cannot stress, so we've talked about it a little bit here, how much of an upset I think most people see this as. I mean, I came into this series predicting Dplus just because of their meta reads, but the growth of this team that's happened over such a short period in Esports World Cup specifically, across the qualifiers as well, cannot be overstated. This is not the same team we commentated a month ago. It just is not.
This is a team that was just celebrating out of their minds because they got 5th place.
I mean, honestly, if Dplus Kia win this game, it is the biggest upset I've seen in 2 or 3 hours.
I think this...
And even then, it's the biggest upset that I've seen, like, if that didn't happen since the day prior, where they took down BLG.
Just to talk about the trajectory that happens after this, win or lose for Dplus, the Legend group for our region domestically, it just got a whole lot more interesting.
Oh, yes, it did.
And that's, I think we're all winners as LCK commentators here today.
100%. And LCK watchers and LCK enthusiasts and anything that's LCK based.
20 seconds until that Ocean
So
Soul.
much control to Dplus. Gen.G just trying to bide their time, just trying to sit back at scale.
Yep, that is a very happy guy right there, even if he didn't have a smile on his face. I imagine was pretty psyched about how things are going.
They just don't get access to any portion of the river or their own jungle. Gen.G gonna force up mid.
Oh dear, Gen.G gonna have to stare down the barrel of an Aatrox, maybe with an Ocean Soul. Yeah, good luck.
Showmaker, control vision in the brush.
Yeah, they are going to have to walk forward here. Showmaker does have that stun prepped and ready, but things are getting very dark on the Rift for Gen.G. Showmaker wanting to get that flash over the wall if he can, as Lucid goes in. The culling there to soften up Gen.G, but it doesn't get a lot of value. And now Chovy off to the side, flashes over the wall.
Jiu's got backline access as well. Gen.G are split and they're in trouble.
Yeah, they don't have their Silas for this fight, but they do manage to back away far enough in order for Chovy to wrap around.
So tense.
So much jostling for position right now. Showmaker moving back to try and take down that wave as Duro has to flash over the wall. Smash is so deadly if he gets in there now. It is the Crescent Guard out from Canyon. The Cataclysm comes in as well for Lucid, and they get the Dawning Shadow out of Ruler. They're running out of ultimates here on the side of Gen.G.
She was going to recall and TP back in. He's the only one really chunked out on Dplus here. They got to feel good about the positioning they have now. But the Scuttle does get cleared by Gen.G to provide some permanent vision.
He still has flash ult here. It needs to be respected. And Ruler has to be so careful. He has positioned really well in this fight, but it means he also has not been able to put out any damage. Shio on the flank. He knows his target. He's marked Ruler here, and the Dragon is under fire.
Yeah, Shio has a massive shield from that teleport as well. Look at this flank angle. It is absolutely ridiculous. They spot him out. He's not pulling the trigger just yet. And now, Dplus now moving in. It's going to be a smite fight. Canyon secures it. No soul for Dplus, but he gets taken down to the GA, and Shio's in a pretty good spot to get that flank working. Showmaker gets engaged on by Chovy, but Canyon just explodes. Showmaker's still alive. Shio and Lucid dealing with the rest of Gen.G, and they take out the Silas. Now it's Smash flashing in on top of Ruler. He gets himself out of the way, but DK, they may not have been able to pick up the Drake, but they are still going to be able to decimate the base of the title defenders of last year's EWC.
It's only Ruler and Keen. I think they can just look for the end right now.
Absolutely. They've got a cannon wave here, and these turrets just aren't going to last. Keen, equalizer on cooldown. Gonna have to try to clear this wave.
And the steps here in Paris must be littered with glass slippers. Cinderella is just all over the place as Dplus. They are pressing down. The first Nexus turret is going to fall. Keen gets engaged on. Down to the GA goes Lucid, but he's buying some time. The flash forward from Shio is ridiculous. Cataclysm comes in as Ruler doesn't get the ulti off. Smash is absolutely legendary in this game, but they maybe do not have enough to take down the Nexus this time around. They have another wave coming on in as Duro looking for an angle. He might be able to get a depth charge, but he doesn't have enough follow-up. So this game will go on.
Without Keen and Ruler's damage, there's no way they could look for a real punish here or an attempted Baron on reset. It's just not going to happen. All they could at least rest on is that they are still alive in this game. As Canyon goes incredibly low in this fight, has to go in and lose his GA to take the Dragon, so he's isolated. Look at Ruler. One auto is all he gets in this fight. He can't do anything. There's too many threats. And then they just turn back onto the Xin Zhao. They kill Canyon. It's a really nice snap restun there from Showmaker on the turn, and Ruler has to tuck tail and run.
I feel like Smash is like a kid in a candy shop. It's just deciding who do I want to kill. They're all good options. Spoiled for choice there. In this base end though, Lucid had ult available, but uses all of his mana going in. Doesn't have that to threaten Ruler. The route that comes out onto Showmaker allows Canyon to get the kill. Little moments in that final push that allows Gen.G to hold on to the game for now, but Dplus is still very much in control of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, that extra turret shot to Showmaker helps out as well.
The 7,000 gold lead at this point in time, and that build from Smash has been augmented by a GA of his own, has that cheeky BF sword as well. And now looking at this Baron that has just respawned. 2 minutes on another attempt at Soul. Let's see whether Gen.G can manage to fight back once again. Imagine if they did it. It would be ridiculous. This series is
flanking
already
Xiu.
unbelievable, and Xiu is looking to try and break that dream. Chovy pushed towards the Baron pit right now. He is pretty mobile on this Silas, but Lucid might be able to find the angle to get on in here. He's got that shield. The Cataclysm has been taken away. The Dplus, they are just going to chase him till the ends of the earth.
Keen is defending, but he can TP into a longer fight here. Dplus need to be careful about how they control this. Chovy running away here with the Cataclysm.
Oh, he cages him in!
Yeah, Cataclysm Flash to get Chovy out of there. Smash, though, is able to dash through this wall and look for that 1v1. Chovy is still very scary, but with the mortal reminder, there is no Kingslaying available for that Silas. And now Duro's going to get cold. This should mean the Dplus can get themselves a Baron and create massive control for themselves in this final game.
Super minions are stacking in the bottom wave. Keen has TP, has to defend those, but there is just no way they can get anywhere near this pit. Not a chance. And this Baron should allow Dplus to open up what's left on the base. They've already gotten 8 of the turrets. There's only 2 inhibitors left, with inhibitor turrets already taking some damage. They are looking to take this Baron, reset, and walk down the red carpet and claim the spot in the finals to meet KC.
And I was expecting that the best of 5 tomorrow in our grand final was going to kind of be the other way around. Dplus in a great position to get us that topsy-turvy final. Still, hasn't happened just yet. 30 seconds on the Dragon. They have a whole lot of control. They have a good inhibitor taken on the bottom side as well to create that extra pressure. Still, red buff is going to get claimed here. Dplus playing that defense. Make sure that no one can get vision around this pit.
Gen.G, if they can fight them off this Dragon, deny the soul, and wipe the Baron, that would be the winning play. That would be so high value. It's such a hard task to ask. And if they let Dplus push the waves in,
That's what's happening.
they're just going to lose the game off minions.
I mean, when Chovy can't walk up to a Lucian without blowing up before he can close the gap, it's so hard for him to do anything here.
This Lucian has 7 items.
Yeah.
He is absolutely massive in this game. Bloodthirster just completed, has that extra shield now available. The Dragon has just spawned. Gen.G do have a cheeky little ward, but now Chovy taking so much damage once again. Every dash forward from Smash is like half the health bar of anyone on Gen.G.
Starting to stack up this bottom wave. They have Baron for another minute and a half. These Nexus turrets are wounded. Gen.G are going to have to make a decisive call here. We are 98 stacks on this Senna.
Another dash in. Rules just gets cold. The Cataclysm comes down. He fights it with a Q. Lucid has executed the AD carry, and Dplus Kia may have just done it. We zoom out, and the Cinderella stories continue here today in our second semi-final. Dplus Kia are going to the finals of EWC 2026.
Dplus Kia defy all the odds to be here, to get to EWC, to make it to the semi-finals, and then once more to take down Gen.G, the reigning champions, and pave their way to the finals of the EWC 2026.